Fellow Ghanaians, I come into your homes on the Joy News channel or on your mobile devices across the world around Ghana's 16 regions on myjoyonline.com to remind you that it's 52 more days to go for the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. Good morning and welcome to the AM show. My name is Sweetie Abochi and I do this with Benjamin Akakpo. This morning we'll start with serving you the AM news anchored by Emefa Adeti. And then we get into our news review segment. On Wednesdays, we usually host Dr. Kwame Asasante, and today he'll be joining us. He's a political scientist and head for the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. And then after that, Muftana Bila Abdullah will come your way with AM Sports. Of course, our big stories begin right after that. This morning, we're taking a look at the fate of 4 members of Parliament hanging in the balance as the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, rules to declare their seats vacant or not in the next 48 hours. Now, this is coming on the back of a petition by former Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu to the Speaker that their seats be declared vacant, invoking Article 97, Clause 1G of the Constitution. Meanwhile, Majority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin is at the Supreme Court seeking for them to make pronouncement on the matter, which has consequences for his leadership in the House of Parliament. So, will the Speaker follow the precedent set by his predecessor, Professor Michael Oquaye, or not? How do we navigate this legal conundrum while we move forward towards the elections? We will discuss this with our guests. And then after that, we'll bring you a conversation on the Joy Sports Invitational Tournament. It's returning after 4 years hiatus on October 26th this year at the University of Ghana Stadium. We have a lot of corporate entities on board. We have Beaver Beverages and many others. But Beaver Beverages, one of the companies that has signed up for the multi-sports corporate event, will also be joining us in studio this morning as we build up towards the competition next week. You want to have your say from now via social media, Joy News on TV, or at the tail end of the show when we open the phone lines, you can call in and have your say. This is the AM show. Let's start now with the AM news anchored by Emefa Adeti.
Hello there, good morning and welcome to AM News with me, Emefa Adeti. Now, in our first story this morning, Minority Leader Dr. K. Salatu Forson has berated government for what he says is the lack of political will to fight illegal mining. Ghana's water bodies and forests continue to be destroyed by illegal miners. Government has deployed soldiers to some areas in a renewed fight following pressure from civil society organizations and labor groups. Speaking on the return of Parliament, Minority Leader Dr. K. Salatu Forson argued that the government has shown itself incapable of winning the fight.
Ghana is under the precipice of a self-inflicted environmental genocide and destruction. Our beautiful country, once called the Gold Coast, to underscore the rich mineral deposit God has bestowed on us, is fast becoming a pale shadow of itself. Mr. Speaker, our lands, with all its rich flora and fauna, are being destroyed by the day. Our once pristine rivers and water bodies are now looking as brown as coffee, having been poisoned to satisfy the insatiable greed of unscrupulous few of our citizens. Mr. Speaker, many farmlands, including cocoa farms, have been completely destroyed, and in their place are unattended pits and gullies from these uncontrolled mining activities. The Speaker, according to the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, the CSIR, it may take up to 300 years to restore the quality of soil damaged by these illegal mining activities. Right Honorable Speaker, it appears that Ghana is at war against itself, and the destructive effect of this frightening and far-reaching mining, Mr. Speaker, will go a long way to affect the lives of the people of Ghana.
But in a strong response, Majority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin accused the Minority Leader of speaking into politicizing the fight against Galamsey. He insists the president has deployed every tool in his armory to raid the forest and water bodies of illegal miners.
From all that we heard in the media regarding declaration of vacancies and all, I think this morning I got a memo which was addressed to Mr. Speaker by the respected member for Thematic South. I got a copy, and he has sent a notice of petition to Mr. Speaker to declare some seat vacant, and he has listed Agona West, Suhum, Amenfi Central, and Fomena. So he relies on Order 99 and also anchors his...
Mr. Speaker, we cannot, as a political class, blame game on Galamsey and say that a particular political party, in this case, the Akufo-Addo administration, has failed in its fight against Galamsey, and leave out what happened preceding the administration of Akufo-Addo administration. Indeed, it's a known fact that Akufo-Addo administration took a decision to deploy the Ghana Armed Forces through what is known as Operation Halt in the early years of his presidency. And the aim was to combat the threat of illegal mining, which was wreaking deliberate havoc on the nation's water bodies and forest reserves. And Mr. Speaker, it was because at the time he took office, the Galamsey activity had gotten out of hand, and the then administration had no immediate answer to it. While the operation achieved some successes, various challenges arose that undermined the effort to fully eradicate the menace. Mr. Speaker, as a parliament, it is important for us to acknowledge the president for taking a bold decision to fight the menace of Galamsey.
Controversial legislative instrument that allows mining in forest reserves to Parliament for revocation. The President committed that LI 2462 will be revoked, and that was key in convincing organized labor to suspend its planned strike. Majority Leader Alexander Penyomarkin says the LI has not yet been returned to the House for revocation.
Matters that come to Parliament will be dealt with. I mean, I would check on the instrument, but I've been finding out when it comes to enactment, we have the power of revocation through repeal and all. I'm still learning whether subsidiary law would require any action by Parliament when same is being revoked. We still learn. The law is always at large, so I'm still trying to research on whether executive instruments or legislative instruments will come and all that. But I'm sure bringing it to Parliament, I don't know, but we'll check it. Yeah. So if it comes and it's a matter of we doing revocation, what procedure and all would also be looked at. So dated on that.
Now, the National Road Safety Authority is rolling out a monitoring app to simplify the reporting of reckless driving incidents. Now, in 2023, Ghana saw 14,135 road crashes, which claimed 2,276 lives and left 15,409 injured. Speaking at the NRISA's 25th anniversary in Accra, acting NRSA body chairman Jermaine Nkrumah announced the app's introduction to combat this growing issue and urged drivers to stay vigilant. Abiola Pomboating has more in this report.
In 2023, Ghana saw 14,135 road crashes, leading to 2,276 deaths and 15,409 injuries, according to the Motor Traffic and Transport Department (MTTD) of the Ghana Police Service. Despite a drop in accidents this year, acting board chairman of the NRSA, Jermaine Nkrumah, highlighted that the death toll remains alarmingly high. He attributed the majority of fatalities to commercial vehicles, urging drivers to exercise greater caution on the roads as part of efforts to curb these tragic losses.
Particularly when you look at the deaths, went from 2018, 2020, 2073, 2,528, and it went as far as 2,924. And now they've been coming down consistently. And this year, we're hoping to go below 2,000, but we're crossing our fingers. When you look at this number, this year, 1,614, it's not just a number. This is 1,000 funerals, more than 1,000 children, spouses, everything. Each time this happened, people gather, wear their red and black to mourn. And so to me, these are not just numbers. These are human beings. And until it hits home that it's in all our interest to make sure that the roads rules are followed.
While acknowledging the drop in road accidents due to intensified public education, Chief Director at the Transport Ministry, Mabel Sego, emphasized the need for adopting innovative and data-driven strategies to achieve even greater reductions.
The Road Safety Authority has seen some consistent reductions in road fatalities and injuries over the past few years. Some of the notable interventions include the following. 1. Launch of the Arrive Alive and Stay Alive Road Safety Campaign. 2. Launch of the Transport Ghana Project, a digital platform for commercial transport operations. 3. Launch of the Code of Conduct for political parties and political activities to ensure road users' safety during political season. 4. Refresher training for about 13,000 commercial vehicle drivers. 5. Institution of road safety awards to recognize and honor commercial vehicle drivers, corporate institutions, individuals, and the media for their contributions to road safety in the country. 6. Collaboration with the MTTD of the Ghana Police Service for the automation of the traffic law enforcement. And 7. The introduction of the web-based road accident data management system to curb data discrepancies, among others.
The anniversary was celebrated on the theme 25 years of promoting road safety and awarding excellence. Abigail Opon-Boateng's report read to you.
Now, as part of the broader U.S. strategy to prevent conflict and promote stability in coastal West Africa, the U.S. government, in collaboration with the German government, allocated $400 million to train security personnel in 4 West African countries, Ghana, Togo, Benin, and Ivory Coast. The initiative, titled The Strategy to Prevent Conflict and Promote Stability, aims to curb the spread of violent extremist organizations from the Sahel into northern coastal West Africa and to address regional conflict, now enhance state stability and strengthen the resilience of local communities. Carlos Caloni has more.
To curb the spread of violent extremist organizations from the Sahel into northern coastal West Africa, a multi-year U.S.-German conflict prevention initiative dubbed the Coastal State Stability Mechanism has been launched in 4 countries: Ghana, Togo, Benin, and Ivory Coast. In Ghana, the program is active in Northeast, Savannah, Upper West, and Upper East regions. The $40 million initiative, according to the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Conflict and Stabilization Operations, Ann Witkowski, aims to prevent conflict and foster stability across the continent.
Our work is part of a broader U.S. strategy in coastal West Africa and beyond the U.S. strategy to prevent conflict and promote stability. Through this strategy, working in the coastal West Africa region, we are seeking to enhance social cohesion, improve government responsiveness, and support security. Through these initiatives, we aim to create lasting impacts that contribute to more secure and resilient Ghana and the region. When Africa succeeds, the world succeeds.
The U.S. Ambassador Virginia Palmer voiced serious security concerns over the growing issue of illegal mining, or galamsey, warning that it could be exploited by violent extremists.
Violent extremists exploit all kinds of criminal networks. So smuggling of gold, just like smuggling of cigarettes, frankly, can be exploited by violent extremists. I know that the Ministry of Security is concerned that violent extremists might come in and even work in illegal mining and then use those proceeds to fund their activities. So it's of concern. And the networks that international crime is exploited by violent extremists, and that's a problem. So we need to be attentive both to international crime and cooperation to stop it as we work to build resilience against violent extremism. And the United States does have some programs, and we'll have to examine if there can be more. I know that, for example, there are some meetings next year about illegal gold mining and what can be done about it. We've sponsored tech camps to see if there are technological fixes.
In response to the recent dry spell, U.S. Ambassador Virginia Palmer announced that her government will provide $1.7 million through the LEAP program to support those affected in northern Ghana.
Going to deliver another $1.7 million, which is close to 30 million cedis, mostly through the LEAP program, but to assist people affected by the drought. We're very pleased that the rains have come and that livestock will be less affected, but we know that the corn crop and grain crops in particular have been badly affected, and that lots of northern families and southern families dependent on those crops will be affected. So that money through the LEAP program will help Ghana's most vulnerable, and we're very pleased to be able to.
Speaking on Ghana's upcoming general election, German Ambassador Daniel Kroll emphasized the importance of strengthening democratic resilience across the continent as a key to ensuring regional stability.
Democracy is very close to the heart of the Ghanaians, and this is what makes me so confident that the Ghanaians will be the guardians of the election, and they will make sure that their vote is reflected truly in the outcome of the election. So I sense that the Ghanaians are very proud of the recent decades of democratic history. We strongly believe that it is relevant for Ghana, for West Africa, and the continent that the Ghanaians secure free and fair elections.
The joint initiative by the U.S. and German government aims to enhance stability and security in Africa, driving progress towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. For Joy News, Carlos Caloni, Accra.
Now, Isaiah Amada Awuku, a student at the University of Ghana, once endured the grueling task of pushing his manual wheelchair 26 kilometers every week to attend lectures. Now, his story stirred an overwhelming response of compassion. In a touching turn of events, Isaiah has received 2 new electronic wheelchairs donated by the Ghana Statistical Association and friends from Arizona and Texas in US. Isaiah's heart remains set on giving back. He plans to donate one of the wheelchairs to someone who also needs it. Emmanuel Jivenu of our education desk has more.
I'm determined. I know for sure when I'm able to put in my possible best effort, then God will help me.
When Joy News first highlighted Isaiah's plight, he was battling the odds, but refuses to allow his physical challenges stop him from pursuing his academic dreams.
It's not easy for someone to just give out an amount of 15,000 for this wheelchair. So if someone is able to do such a kind gesture to me, then I have to appreciate the person. In fact, I don't know how will I express that gratitude.
Isaiah's call for help has been answered. Today, he has not one, but 2 electronic wheelchairs. The Ghana Statistical Association stepped forward, providing an electronic wheelchair, a full scholarship for his master's degree, textbooks, and financial support for his upkeep. Professor Nicholas Nsowa-Nuama is the president of the association.
The person wants to be a statistician, he He wants to be a professor of statistics like us. He wants to work at Ghana Statistical Service. So it means he had already decided that he wanted to be a statistician. So then I'll take it up. We have for you the wheelchair, electronic wheelchair. We have also for you the books here to aid your studies, and then your future education also, that is also being handed over to you, all organized by Ghana Statistical Association.
A group of friends in Arizona and Texas, USA, also came through, purchasing another electronic wheelchair for Isaiah. Their collective effort will make Isaiah's daily commute much easier while offering him hope for a brighter future. Isaiah, visibly moved by the overwhelming generosity, struggled to find the words to express his gratitude.
My words cannot express it to the full length. I'm grateful. And I say, may God bless you and grant you strength, long life.
Grateful for the generosity he has received, he believes it's only right to extend that same kindness to someone in similar situation.
We are in this together. I'm not the only person in this one. So I'm planning on giving out to someone also like me that will support his or her movement.
His mother, Elizabeth Amathepe, couldn't hide her joy.
Abai dodrio kode tomaye maudasi manayo we madakpena nyemenya ale magakwadakpena o ke Yehowa na khefeno bete deka.
Isaiah's journey, once marked by struggle, is now filled with hope. With these new resources, he is closer than ever to achieving his academic dreams, navigating campus with ease. Thanks in part to the Ghana Statistical Association, the group of friends residing in Texas and Arizona. Emmanuel Jivenu, Joy News.
And we're all excited and very thoughtful of Isaiah's words to also give one of the wheelchairs to somebody who will need it. That is Joy News Get Results. Now do stay with us for more business updates business updates coming up shortly.
Well, you can call me Mr. Business Updates. Time now for me to serve you. And in my first story, a senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa, has challenged the Bank of Ghana to work more at reducing the cost of borrowing to propel private sector growth. According to him, despite banks offering low interest rates on loans, managers of the economy must also take a relook at the macroeconomic indicators. He believes when these indicators are right, banks will be compelled to reduce their rates further. Dr. Amwa spoke to Joy Business.
This is what the central bank must do. See, these rates that the banks are charging, the banks are not charging because they feel like charging it. It is a representation of the overall cost of doing business in the industry, especially when it comes to credit and deposit mobilization. So if BOG can work on reducing the cost of credit in terms of inflation, in terms of interest rate, then it will definitely trigger, because no bank will go and mobilize money at a particular rate and come and give it out at a low rate. The bank will not do that. So if we want to really see the rate declining sharply, we need to look at the macro again. Bank of Ghana works with Ministry of Finance. And so they have to make sure that the rates are low enough to drop down and to pull down the rate at which the banks are giving the facility. Because there's no way a bank will give out a credit facility when the MPC rate is around 27. It's going to be extremely difficult.
That's fine.
So they first have to work at it at their end, and then to trigger down into the banking sector. And then we, the retail clients, can benefit from it.
Now, financing remains a significant hurdle for many small businesses in the oil and gas sector seeking to capitalize on Ghana's local content policy. The head of oil and gas at Stanbic Bank, Sylvia Mensah-Ofori-Osei, emphasizes the need for companies to establish strong partnerships with banks to improve their access to funding for growth and development. She shared these insights during an interview with Joy Business in Accra.
With over 300 indigenous companies registered in the oil and gas industry, one might expect local players to dominate the market. However, less than 5% of these companies possess the financial muscle or have built the requisite capacity to effectively contribute the 5% capital requirement and other technology requirement for exploration and production. Head of oil and gas at Stanbic Bank, Sylvia Mensah-Ofori-Osei, believes this calls for deliberate collaboration between banks and oil firms.
Banks can partner with industry stakeholders to develop local content by having regular engagement with the regulator on policy and regulatory frameworks. They can also do this by having workshops on capacity development and skills transfer. Banks can also do this by having thought leadership sessions, and they can also collaborate with operators and contractors in providing financing for the local content.
Ghana's Petroleum Local Content Regulation was passed to promote local content in the oil and gas sector. The framing of the regulations is aimed to generate positive synergies between the oil industry and other sectors of the economy.
And that's the shape of the exchange market for today. And it's a wrap for business. Handing over back to Emefa Aditi.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us today on the AM News. There's more on the show News Review up next.
Fellow Ghanaians, welcome aboard the news review segment on the AM show. Of course, Sweetie watching. It's the Ben and Sweetie show, and we are, airborne, ready to take off. So let's introduce our guests this morning.
Before we do, you made a prediction yesterday. So now I'm going to say you are not a prophetess. You said that we would end up donning the same color today.
I wanted to wear blue, and I had a
wardrobe
malfunction.
You had a what? A wardrobe malfunction?
Yes.
So you're trying to say... So you would have been in navy blue this morning?
No, deep blue, actually. I had a really...
Okay, this is...
Yeah, truthfully.
Okay. I was about to take you on there.
But don't worry, tomorrow we'll match colors. Hey, so you're matching blue all the way down. I haven't looked at you properly today. Is that Adidas or Abibas?
I never do Abibas.
With your blue jeans and blue tie, blue coat, blue everything, even a blue watch.
Don't forget that the tie is striped and my sneakers also have stripes.
Thank you. I wish you could give the audience a 360. But let's bring in Dr. Kwame Asasante this morning. Doc, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. You're going to give
Doc ammunition to use against his former students.
On the AM show, Benjamin, it's okay. Let's get to serious business. Doc, welcome aboard the AM show.
Thank you. Good morning, friends.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Benjamin thought you'd comment on his not Abiba satire this morning, but
I did not hear that.
Okay.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you so much.
In fact, gentlemen, how did you feel yesterday afternoon after that game?
Why do you have to just rub it in?
I want to bring it in because I don't actually make an intentional decision to watch the games these days, but I was on my way home, so I listened to the commentary, and the whole time I'm wondering who is actually watching this game right now. And we are slowly going to not qualify for the AFCON game.
So
and it would be the first time in over 30 years.
The last time I checked, Angola was leading us by 7 points. They are leading. Look at the gap. That is 2 games plus a draw, right? And after the match, Otoado, one of the things he said was, they scraped through because of luck. And I was like, hey, Otoado.
That's where we've reached now.
Now they take us to Sudan and they put us on their laps and give us a spanking. And
2-0. Doc, how did you feel about the game yesterday?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, that is going to be my comment today.
Let's get into it then.
Yes, because you see, my worry is that we have records and we have records to protect. You recall when Black Star were making a lot of laurels, making us proud. We had very, let me put it this way, not that sophisticated players and all that, but they managed and played well and gave us all that we needed in terms of glory. Today, in spite of all the experiences our players have, by the fact that they're exposed to, European soccer and the rest of them, what has happened to Black Stars? Is it the case that we are not able to plan properly, or we don't have the right people to manage the affairs of Black Star, or we don't have the materials worth using for the match? I would say no to all this, simply because we have all the quality of players here, all right? We have the best coaches if we want to have. They are all over the world. They are in Ghana, they are all over. But we have failed to recognize one thing. As Nkoma put it, organization decides everything. We have not organized ourselves well. We need to put our act together and begin to build a solid football team right from home. And then you develop it to the national level, then it goes continental level. For me, that is the way to go. Because if you look at players like Samuel Eto'o and all that, they discovered them from the academies, from local, football clubs, and developed them. Growing up, I saw Abedi Pele, playing the coast and then all the local leagues to Dragons of Benin and then to Marseille and the rest of them. Why can't you do the same and tap talents? I saw in the 70s where they were playing, zonal leagues, regional leagues, national and all that. They were looking for talent to pick and train and develop. Even in university, we have academicals, people who were still in school and they were very good in playing. What has happened? My country should get the basis right. The talents are here. All that we need to organize ourselves well. Remember, we put in a lot of resources to build Black Star, so we don't have to disappoint taxpayers.
Okay. So from sports, thank you so much for that, Doc. Let's get into business of the day, the newspapers. I'll start with the Custodian newspaper. On the front page, Fitch also upgrades Ghana's economy. Apenyo Makin drags Bagbin to Supreme Court over 4 MPs. Baumia is best to succeed me, President Akufo-Addo declares. Central Region showcases massive government projects, and Utah Group gives leaders October 18th to call off strike. Let's start from page 3 on this story of Apenyo Makin dragging the office of the Speaker. Yesterday I listened to the Speaker. He said not he himself as, Alban Bagbin, but the office to court over those 4 MPs who stand a chance or who might be losing their seats. The story reads, the majority leader and member of parliament for Futu constituency, Mr. Alexander Apenyo Makin, has filed an injunction application at the Supreme Court to challenge a petition by Tamale South MP Haruna Idrisu regarding the status of 4 members of parliament. Now, former majority leader Haruna Idrisu has petitioned the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Kisford Bagbin, to declare the parliamentary seats of Suhum, Amenfi Central and Agona West MPs vacant following their decision to contest the 2024 general election as independent candidates in their respective constituencies. And according to the application that he filed, he says, per the true interpretation of these articles in the 1992 Constitution, the filing of nomination of these members of parliament does not warrant declaring their seats vacant. Let me hold on to this and add one more story to it and come to you, Doc. I want to do the story about Fitch also upgrading Ghana's economy. And that story is also on page 3. Another global credit ratings agency, Fitch, has upgraded Ghana's economy following that from Moody's in less than a week, placing the country in a positive position that will stimulate economic growth. Fitch upgraded the country's long-term local currency issuer default ratings from CCC to CCC+. And it also assigned Ghana's new US dollar bonds issued on October 9, 2024, a CCC+ rating. Now, regarding outlook, Fitch noted that it typically did not assign outlooks to IDRs of sovereigns with a rating of CCC+ or below. And for context, last Friday, Moody's upgraded Ghana's long-term local and foreign currency issuer ratings to CAA2 from CAA3 and CA respectively. These two stories, Dr. Kwame Asante, for your reflections.
I think I'll look at the first is the Fitch story and the economy.
Yeah.
It's heartwarming to hear that we are turning the corner. If that is the case, then I expect that managers of our economy will not go back to the old order that they manage the affairs of the state to the extent that we have to go back to the IMF and then look for some, support, right? Once we are physically disciplined and we're able to work within our means and work within our budget, I expect that all things being equal, we should be able to withstand whatever shocks that confront us. Yes, but once you can have all resources, you can have all the good science about the health of your economy, but if you decide to undermine it, you can do that. And more often than not, the economists will tell you that anytime we are going for election, we are likely to destroy the very economy that we built simply because we want to win power. And when we win power, we are not able to, because there's no resources to drive the programs that we have in our manifesto. I want my country to take this note and then take it seriously and then guard against this. The issue about the speaker being, the office of the speaker dragged to the Supreme Court and the rest of them, I think it's inappropriate forum. Let's wait for the court to do justice to the matter. We'll come and then see what the courts have done, and then we can take it from there.
Okay. Let's leave it to the courts, he says. Benjamin.
Well, I will start with some sporting news. Man U and Ferguson role. He's been an ambassador since 2013. But since Sir Jim Ratcliffe took over, there have been cost-cutting measures to save some, £45 million. And he is one of about, 250 members of staff who have been axed. And that is the situation. Of course, there is that story there about Sudan stunning the Stars in Libya. Some people feel Libya and Sudan are not footballing nations. They just have to go back in time and realize that even when Ghana was winning trophies, Libya was in there, Sudan as well. So there are no minnows, there are no walkovers, and they are showing us exactly that. Atletico faces a stadium ban, and that is after more pitch invasions for about 2 weeks. That's the proposal. And Tuchel is new England boss. Former Chelsea boss Thomas Tuchel has agreed to become the next England manager. I just wanted to start with sports. But now, let's get into the Daily Guide newspaper. Independent MP's case. Afenyo Markin seeks injunction. We've already got into that. I'll not delve into it. IPAC exposes NDC again. Government showcases Central Region projects. PIAC holds workshop on oil production. Fatal East Legon crash. This is something I want to look at. Police arrest bishop and wife. And First Lady unveils renovated council building. Let me start from page 3. So the story says, the Electoral Commission has cautioned political parties as well as independent presidential candidates to exercise restraint in their remarks on issues bordering on the provisional voters registration and related matters in an attempt to discredit the commission. Editor of Daily Guide, a common mistake that shouldn't come in your newspaper. Bordering, not bothering. It's not bothering anybody. Bordering on. Everybody says this about when you see it in a newspaper, it becomes egregious because then you are teaching more people the wrong thing. Anyway, the IT consultant to the EC, Dr. Fourier J, made the call following some allegations made by the Deputy Director of Elections and IT for the NDC, Dr. Rasheed Tanko Computer, that the revised Provisional Voters Register re-exhibited online by the EC still contained discrepancies which produced double identities for individuals who verified their details online. The NDC representative, who was still not convinced with the explanations provided by the EC, offered their three names to substantiate the alleged double identity. But let me just skip. But the EC, after a quick check on their IT system, disclosed that the claims by the NDC that those names were registered voters with multiple identities were false. According to the IT consultant, those names were individuals whose ID cards were replaced with new ones when the commission detected the anomaly in the 2020 election. Okay. I don't know how the Daily Guide posits that because someone has said this, so that is the fact, without, I don't know, its own verification system. All I do know is that we want peace in Ghana and we want the right things to be done so that whoever is selected come December, December 7. Now, I get a bit confused because of the American election. December 7 is reflective of the will of the people. But Doc, I got to check yesterday. You know, now you can check online. So the first time I hadn't been able to check. Yesterday I used the code, checked, got my details on my phone, and indeed it is the same place I voted, and I will be going back there to vote come December the 7th. Then there is also fatal East Legon crash. Police arrest bishop and wife. The Ghana Police Service has arrested Bishop Elisha Salifu Amuako and his wife Muha Amuako over their son's fatal accident, which resulted in the death of two 12-year-old girls at East Legon on October 12, 2024, and had several others injured. We already know the story. I feel this is a step in the right direction. I'm also going to ask, what happened to the Lil Wayne issue? Lil Wayne, what happened? I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble, but what's happened to that issue? Little boy died. I don't know whether he was about 3-4 years. Died. I could be wrong, but about his age. But he died. What has happened to that issue? And here, the linkage I want to draw is the fact that if you recall that latest killing, mass shooting in the US, where a child who had showed some tendencies online was allowed to have a gun by his father. And now his father has been called upon. He is being tried for maybe some recklessness in allowing his son to have a weapon. I believe it's something similar that is happening here. I don't know what your thoughts are on these developments, Doc. Over to you.
Yes, I'll start by looking at the IPAC story, right? Yes, as you rightly pointed out, we don't want anything short of an environment, electoral environment, that will, create that opportunity for people to contest and contest well. And we want the whole electoral plane to be equal so that at the end of the day, when people lose, they will accept defeat and abide by the rules of the game. So that makes it possible for Electoral Commission and all the political actors to work in such a way that we'll be able to have this opportunity one more time. Ghana has struggled to build a democracy to this level, and this is not a time to do anything to undermine the fortunes of what we have toiled for over the years. There are very negative examples relative to democracy in the sub-region, and I don't want my country to be part of this. So what it means is that it's not prayer, it is not any other thing, but work, action, that we see a problem, we deal with the problem head on, and then later, after we've done everything, we can go and pray. I'm not saying prayer is not good, but see, we as humans, we have a duty. Duty is that we need to apply our faculty to address problems, and that is why all of us have heads. So I want us to see the problems that confront us, that is something that is doable, and that we can do it, and we do it, and that's it. I'll touch on the Sudan, Libya, teams, and then what they have performed over the years. People think that these are minnows, as you rightly said. They are not. If you follow football for a very long time, you realize that these are giants in football. You recall many years where Black Stars go there, they suffer in Sudan and all that. But even talk about Libya, 1984, if my memory serves me right, we're playing African Cup of Nations. And that was going to help us to prepare for the world encounter and all that. I remember Tremson, we were beaten heavily there by Libyans and all that. They are great football nation. If you look at the Madrid, the Maghreb, the players, the teams there, they are very strong teams. So you need to up your game in order to stand them. This time around, even if people do not know how to play, there are examples they have invested, and now you see them performing. For a very long time, Burkina was not doing well, but you've seen in recent time, their exploits, amazing. It tells you that once you get your basis right, you can do stuff.
Well, interesting thoughts there. You know, there was this, if memory serves, there was a final of the African Cup of Nations, as we, called it then. I think we faced Libya, in Libya. Oh, yes. And then, there was at least one I remember. And what you said about not just praying, it reminds me of James in the Bible. It says faith and works, right? Through my faith or through my works, I'll show you my faith. So we can pray all right, but the right things must be set in motion. I think that's it for me for the Daily Guide newspaper. Right.
So let me do the Ghanaian publisher now. I'll just do two stories here, but there are a lot of stories. There's the Apenyo Markin seeking Supreme Court injunction as independent MP's case here. Over 22,500 imports distributed to fishermen by NPP, says the Fisheries Minister. Silent majority to UTAG National Executive Council, call of strike in 3 days, or ADB recovers over 500 million Ghana cedis NPLs in 9 months. I'll do two stories on the silent majority of UTAG and the fisheries, hopefully one more story. So a group or a faction of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, known as the Silent Majority, has called on the National Executive Council to halt the ongoing strike against illegal mining. During a press briefing in Accra yesterday, Professor Isaac Boedi, the group's spokesperson, called on the NEC to form a team to monitor the implementation of the government's roadmap for addressing the Galamsey issue. He urged the national leadership to take immediate action and end the strike by October 18, 2024. And Professor Boedi also requested that the NEC invite all presidential candidates as well as parliamentary candidates from mining constituencies to sign and publicly declare their commitment to tackling illegal mining in Ghana. In other words, UTAG should call off its strike because government is actually implementing some measures to curb the Galamsey menace.
You know what's interesting about that, and I would like to find out from Doc since he's there, but if you look at the response acknowledging receipt, the first point that is made, firstly, as reflected in the petition and press conference, we noted that your group included several individuals who are not UTAG members. And it goes on, but it's interesting that this comes up, but UTAG maintaining its position on the matter. Maybe we can find out from Doc what later on when you're ready.
No, let's find out. Doc, what do you make of it?
I think this call has been made. UTAG as a mother organization will respond to it. So I'll leave that one for UTAG to deal with now because, I don't hold position in UTAG and there are leaders all over the universities. They will come out with appropriate response and then we'll know the direction to follow. That said, I will also look at the inputs for fish farmers. I'm very interested in fish farming.
Indeed.
Because when we're talking about food security, right now we are being told that we are likely to hit, a snag in this area if we don't deal with things appropriately. I am happy that you have a government that wants to support fish farming, particularly aquaculture. Brilliant, good. Because if you look at the risk involved in going to travel long distances to go and catch fish and the rest of them, and you can do that at your backyard, it's fine. And government has moved a step forward to supply, inputs. Right. I know that they supply fingerlings and the rest, and then in addition to that, they supply also feed. But there is a bigger question. Farmers are not able to sell at the end of harvest. There are very few marketing outlets, and I speak on authority. There are times because I'm in the industry. Your fish get ready and you have nobody to buy. Can you imagine? And one day I talked to a gentleman in the ministry that why do you have such a brilliant policy and you are not able to carry it to its logical conclusion? You supply inputs, and at the end of the day, when the harvest is ready, nobody is there to buy. You have only a few people who buy. That should not be a policy by a ministry. We should have, a system that is put in place to address this. I look around and I see people selling in the streets, they have no job. Can the state look at the situation where we're saying, let us have vans that will go around, you give it to these people, go and buy so and so. You operate in maybe Adenta, for instance, 10 people, get all the fish there into warehouse or, a cold store, and then we add value or we export. We will get all the boys and the girls in the street off this thing. When I was a little boy growing up at the Propon, I saw State Fishing Corporation bringing their vans around, selling fish to our homes and all that. That example is not far, it's not out of our reach. We should be able to think outside the box and get this so that we don't spend a lot of state resources getting fingerlings, getting feed for farmers. At the end of the day, when they are ready, the state is not ready to buy. I am saying this because there is an example that I have learned over the years that is how we started importing chicken into this country. This is how it started. The state was producing all the basic, factors of production. And then when the chicken were ready for sale, the government was not there to buy. So individual decided to import, and today the story is too clear for me to recount it here. We need to shy away from this and get our policies to a logical conclusion.
Thank you so much, Doc. Let me do this story so we all take caution. 9 cholera cases recorded in Greater Accra. And Ghana has recorded 9 cholera cases in the Adan West and Adan East districts of the Greater Accra region. A statement issued by the Ghana Health Service in Accra yesterday said the first case was confirmed on October 4th, 2024 in the Adan West district. The statement indicated that infected individuals sought treatment at a health facility with symptoms of vomiting, diarrhea, and abdominal pain a few days after attending a funeral in Adan East. It also noted that a cholera case was subsequently confirmed in the Adan East district, and in response, the Ghana Health Service has activated public health emergency management committees at all levels to address the situation. And they are advising the public to take caution because I want to skip to that. Cholera transmission is closely linked to inadequate access to clean water and sanitation facilities. Typically, at-risk areas include peri-urban slums as well as camps for internally displaced persons, and early detection and treatment are crucial to preventing complications and reducing mortality. So please take note what you eat, what you drink, where you get them. If possible, at all times, try to eat hot meals. It reduces the risk. Anyway, so that's the only story I'll do in addition for the Ghanaian publisher, and I'll come to the Ghanaian Times later after Benjamin does one more.
I will go back briefly, but go ahead if you have a response.
On the cholera issue,
Yeah, the cholera issue. I think it's a good, signal they are pointing to us that we should be very careful. Cholera is very infectious and all that, and it boils down to one thing: personal hygiene. Yeah, cholera. Yes, if you have contaminated water that you drink from, obviously you are going to be caught in this one. So I expect our people to do the needful by keeping very good sanitary conditions at all times and making sure that we're listening to proper advice from health authorities. I think that's the way to go.
All right.
I'll just take a quick swipe at some stories again in the Daily Guide on the international front before I go. But Doc, just back to that point that was made mention of in terms of UTAG. I noticed as well that Professor Ransford Jampo had indicated that the unsigned petition by some 57 people, so unsigned making it 36 were not university teachers, and that of the remaining who were lecturers, many had issued public disclaimers, some of which he would share on the back of these happenings. So it makes for very interesting times on the back of these developments. But 2 international stories in the Daily Guide newspaper. Senegal sets out ambitious development plan for the next quarter century, and Senegal's government on Monday unveiled a vast breakaway development plan, pledging to increase average individual income by almost 50% in 5 years, while slashing the deficit and debt. The 25-year project seeks to move the West African nation away from foreign dependence and debt in favor of local resources and human capital. It forms part of the radical shake-up promised by President Bassirou Diomaye Faye. who took office in April, raising hopes in the country battling a high cost of living and widespread unemployment. Why am I bringing it here? Because those two young men, President Bassirou Diomaye Faye and Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko, are doing some very interesting things in Senegal. Who says young people can't lead? And again, I'm pushing. I believe that bar that has been set, especially for presidency, you must be 40 and all of that. More developed countries have had 30-something-year-olds, sometimes younger, leading their countries. Here, I don't engage in ageism, but we think wisdom comes with age. And our leaders, a lot of them, have proven that wisdom does not, in fact, come with age. Then, North Korea blows up roads linking it to South Korea. And North Korea has blown up roads and rail lines that lead up to the border with South Korea, a further sign of its rejection of any possibility of reunification. South Korea condemned the incident and said it was deplorable that its neighbor was repeatedly conducting such regressive behavior. And this happened around midday Tuesday. Some parts of rail lines and roads that connected the two countries were destroyed. I've been following some of these international stories, and they make for interesting reading. For North Korea, we can only see what the positioning is and wonder what the future holds. But the Accra Times, I'll just leave you, Doc, with the headlines and you can react. Good news for La drivers as MP initiates drivers fund. Then there's Mahama grades MPPF in economic and employment performance. Female students dominate APAC's 2024 student support program. Any quick thoughts on these before Sweetie comes in with the next paper?
I will look at issue of La drivers giving all manner of support and all that. I will extend the conversation to the fact that anytime we are going for election, you see a lot of promises, ideas and all that. And I ask myself, after election, what happened?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see
ideas, Yamutu.
Yes, ideas, Yamutu. And the leaders themselves, Yagudu, they ran away. We don't see them. Yes. You have to continue. After promising, you have to honor your promise. You deliver based on the promise giving. Then next time you can go to the people for them to renew your mandate, and then you move off. That is what is missing. It's simply because of a certain attitude we have adopted over the years that we are not vigilant enough. We don't hold our leaders answerable enough. We tend to pamper them and glorify them. And all those things get into the head of leaders and they take us for granted. Okay, in his book, he has written something which is, I always quote, he said, when you begin to shower praises to leaders, it takes them off course. And they are not able to live up to expectation. And that is the problem I have in this country. We should remember that leaders are leaders and they need to lead with example. They need to ensure that leaders knock off the potentials in us to be able to develop, to become the best of ourselves. So if you have leaders who are not, in this bracket, to be able to trigger a process of this nature, throw them out when you get opportunity.
Well, I think praise is fitting where it is due, but what we tend to do here is more like hero worship, and we are oblivious. Once that is our candidate or the person we like, we can only praise, we cannot criticize. Yeah. That is where the problem comes in.
Let me just do the headlines and then we'll leave you with that. From the Ghanaian Times, let's 2024 elections be peaceful. Yana appeals to Ghanaians. NDC unveils strategy to create 1.7 million jobs. On the 2024 elections, EC releases revised provisional voters register after correcting discrepancies, removing anomalies. And Ghana Health Service records 9 cholera cases in Greater Accra region. There's a story here, just reading the title, and then we go. President appeals to Africa's development partners to fund school infrastructure. We are sorry, come back to do business in Boko. Elders appeal to fleeing corporate bodies and agencies. And then the First Lady inaugurates Ghana Traditional Council building. If any of these stories speaks to your interest, pick a copy of the Ghanaian Times and any of these other papers and read for yourself. And that's how we're wrapping up for the news review. Unless you have a dedication going out today.
Well, no dedications, but maybe some more headlines. Galamsey reporters emerge on UTAG front, that's the Daily Searchlight newspaper, on a strike-busting mission. And I see a lecturer who, anyway, let me leave my thoughts out. Alan to lead a victory walk in Kumasi. Let's have common books for all African children, Dr. Educhum says, and fatal East Legon accident, of course, that story we have done. Then the headlines in the news center. Silent majority of Utah calls for end to strike. Only God knows who exactly that silent majority includes. Fitch also upgrades Ghana's credit rating, projects 68% debt to GDP ratio in 2025. And then Atuforsen cautions against skirt and blouse voting. Anyway, those are my final bits. Dr. Asa Asante, any quick thoughts for us before you leave?
Yes, I'll look at the call by Yana. Great one. I salute the king. It's a beautiful one. But want to look at it this way. Anytime we are going for elections, there are things that we need to consider. The pre-election phase of the election, the election phase of the election, and then the post-election phase. We are so happy that we are going for elections, and then you realize that we preach peace and all that. But what we have to put as a society, put into the system, sometimes we don't, ensure that they exist. So I will also add to the King's call that people should help this electoral system to survive so that we build a very robust system that will stand the test of time. We should, after going through elections successfully, we should not come back enslaved. We should build in more bridges, expand the frontiers, and strengthen the frontiers so that the next time the problems that confronted us before election will not be what manifesting itself in the next election. I have seen with pain that over the years, the problems we deal with before and during election, we end up in another election introducing another problem. So we tend to have problems that we solve all the time, which are born out of certain reckless activities on our part. So I support the king, but let us support the king and all those meaningful people who make this call by doing the right things and building a system that would stand the test of time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kwame Asa Asante. He's a political scientist and the head for the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Many thanks for your time. Folks, stay for sports. Coming up next with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Ghana is at the verge of missing out on an African Cup of Nations for the first time in 20 years. The senior national team lost 2-0 to Sudan on March Day 4 of the ongoing qualifying series. And that means that they are 5 points adrift of the Sudanese, who are second on the table, and Angola, who have already qualified to the tournament. And with only 2 countries earning qualification tickets to the tournament, what it means is that Ghana must win all the next round of matches that will be played and pray that Sudan will lose all their games. And currently it appears that is not going to happen. Let's go for the highlights of how Ghana suffered a 2-0 loss against Sudan in Benghazi on Tuesday.
Bad touch, and it goes back to the Sudanese. Quite tricky to cope with this artificial pitch, the AstroTurf here in Libya, and now Sudan come breaking again. There's men on the far side and goes for the right corner. Well, it seemed like a great save there from Atizigi. Once again, he's calling for the corner kick. Abubakar Mamoun cutting in and sending Jiku for a hot dog. And it was very much Semenyo out wide to Mensah. Mensah gives a decent looking delivery. Oh, and the players just got in each other's way. was cut out, and frustration for Ghana because they could be caught on the break here. Saif Thierry, he needs options and he might just find them across the box. There's a chance for Sudan. Oh dear. A brilliant chance for the hosts. Over the ball, or rather, sorry, Abu Agla Abdallah, the opposite number. And that's just again in between the gap of the defense and the goalkeeper. Away side for the afternoon. But now Sudan can get through here. It has to be well defended, may not be though. Still an opportunity, and it's surely going to be a goal for Sudan. Oh wow, yes it is. It's nothing less than they deserve after the match that they've seen. Absolute trauma for Ghana, but sensational. Bursting through Saif Thierry. No communication. Lawrence Atizigi made the save. It came off the post. Gideon Mensah just looked haplessly. And coming again, here goes Sudan. Maybe a chance for a second. Oh, it is. Abdelrahman. It's absolutely crazy. The defense is completely destroyed because it is just glorious. Look at that ball from the left back position. He's completely outdone Mohamed Salisu there as Mohamed.
This was how Ghana suffered a 2-0 loss and currently at the verge of not making it to the African Cup of Nations in Morocco next year. Let's go on the phone and speak to former Vice President and Management Committee member of the Black Stars, Mr. George Free. Mr. George Free, how did we get here?
Good morning. When you say management committee member, I'm not a member of the current management
I said
committee.
former.
So say former. Okay. All right.
You are a former.
Well, anyway, I think that good morning to your cherished listeners. I think that in this particular game, I mean, I watched the two games on TV, the one here in Accra and then the one in Benghazi. But judging from what I saw and the sequence that I've followed, it clearly tells me that lack of proper planning caused this particular defeat. And then in the game against Sudan.
How?
See, we were aware of the difficult nature of qualifying from the group because our first two games didn't go that well. Having lost to Angola at home, and then we drew with Niger on a neutral ground. Definitely, we should have planned properly, and I'm going to explain. I have been fortunate to follow the Black Stars, where we have the likes of Mr. Fred Papo as chairman of the Black Stars Management Committee. Somewhere around 2007, thereabout, just after the 2006 World Cup, I traveled with the Black Stars to play two international friendlies. One in Tokyo and one in Seoul. I was a member of the team that traveled as an executive committee member of the FA then. And I witnessed something. We were going to play these two matches within the space of 3 days. So the first match was going to be in Yokohama on a Sunday, and then the game against Korea was going to be on a Tuesday. So how did Coach Claude Roy then plan with the management team? Immediately after the game against the Japanese, we flew to Seoul. When we got to Seoul, Coach Claude Roy made sure that the team did recovery of the previous game at the team hotel. He used the space there, and then he started running with the players. Also, all the players who didn't play the 90 minutes of the game, or let's say maximum minutes in the game, rested, and the new players did full training within the space within the hotel. And I was like, but this man should wait for us to go to the park. And he says, no, we have a game on Tuesday. He wants to make use of the days available to him, so he will do the recovery on that Sunday night and then take a Monday to train fully, and then Tuesday we'll play the match. Now, I want to equate that to what happened here. You have 2 games, back-to-back games against Angola. You have been armed with a very fortunate information that the Sudanese play their matches on an AstroTurf. Unfortunately for our team, most of our players played in the top European league where they play on a green grass field. So what do? Immediately after the game here in Ghana, we should have traveled to Benghazi at least the next day morning because it was a chartered flight. Get to Benghazi and then do your recovery on an AstroTurf field that next day, which was Friday. Then you have a whole day of Saturday also to train. Have the whole day of a Sunday to train. Monday to train. And Monday, remember, you are only going to train on the pitch where you are going to play the match for the mandatory just 1 hour. And so you have to plan your journey in such a way that you take advantage of the days available to train on an AstroTurf. So what do we do yesterday? You saw that the 2 goals that we conceded were as a result of our defender trying to fall because they are not comfortable on the AstroTurf. That's cost us.
The team did not prepare in a way that Ghana had their training sessions on AstroTurf prior to the game. Is that what you're suggesting? You have this on authority?
Mustafa, you are aware that we played a game here on Thursday.
Yes.
You are also aware that we did a recovery. I think we did it at Accra Stadium. And then we travel on a Saturday. You are also aware that when we got to Benghazi on Saturday, they didn't train because they got there very late. And so the only days they will have to train will be on Sunday. And on Monday, they can only train 1 hour.
Which is the mandatory training session.
Which is the mandatory training on the pitch where you are going to play. So for me, from where I sit, this was lack of proper planning.
So if it's lack of proper planning,
you're already aware that these first 2 matches didn't go that well. And so therefore, you need to make sure that the subsequent matches, you plan properly. As far as I'm concerned, I've been part of the Black Star Management Committee. I've chaired the Black Star Management Committee. In such games, in fact, you get the FA president sitting in to make sure that you have a technical and management team to plan everything from food to travel arrangement to everything. You plan all together, all through.
So this was not done?
I don't know because I'm not there. I don't know but personally, from what I have observed from the sidelines, I think that we didn't plan well because the game was played here on a Thursday in Accra. So we're not even in Kumasi to say that we have to fly back. So once we're in Accra on that Thursday, Friday morning, first thing we should have gone by a chartered flight and then go and do our recovery there.
But Uncle George, you know how we behave as a country. They will tell you we don't have the resources to fly
What are you talking
early.
about?
Probably it could be one of those challenges that they have.
You go on Friday, you pay. You go on Saturday, you pay. Why? It's not like when you take a chartered flight because of the days. This is not a commercial flight. So that you can say that, because I'm traveling on a Saturday, it's quite cheaper than I'm traveling on. So I don't get it where you are saying we don't have money, we don't. Well, these things you plan way ahead.
So, Mr. George, in moments like this, the bigger question everyone is always asking is, what next? How do we find a solution to this? And in fact, in your own words, when I had an interview with you somewhere last year, you said that Ghana, it will get to a point where Ghana will struggle to even qualify for a major competition. And in your words, you said, we are dead if the current leadership of the Ghana Football Association continues. Is that where we are right now? Are you a prophet?
You see, Mustafa, I left the FA where, as chairman of the Black Star Management Committee, we went to finals in 2015. 2017, we were semi-finalists before we left the scene. 2018. But one thing that I remember very well, I was instrumental in appointing Kwesi Appiah as the head coach of the Black Star before at least we left the scene. For that, I can boast of. Because you know why? You see, Mustafa, the national team is quite different from a club side management. You see, we believed and studied Kwesi Appiah and got to a point where we realized that having deputized for 2 Serbian coaches, it was about time we gave him the job. We gave Kwesi Appiah the job. And Kwesi Appiah, everybody has forgotten that it was Kwesi Appiah who masterminded the 6-1 against Egypt. Almost every Ghanaian has forgotten that it was Kwesi Appiah who masterminded that heavy defeat that the Pharaohs suffered in the hands of Ghana. It was under Kwesi Appiah's regime. So we took Kwesi Appiah to the World Cup. But between all of us, we know that you cannot attribute the failures in Brazil to Kwesi Appiah. There were things that go beyond the coach. At least, thanks to Jamefe Commission, we are all privy to the things that were happening. The minister, my brother Elvis Yanka, was purely sabotage. Everybody knows this. It's an open secret. So, fast forward, some of us felt that, look, having gotten rid of Kwesi Appiah, having gone to learn and upgrade himself, it was about time we give him Kwesi Appiah the job. Maybe you have all forgotten. Let me remind you something. When we set out the criteria in selecting the next coach in Kwesi Appiah's reappointment, I came to announce Kwesi Appiah. Maybe you have all forgotten. I announced Kwesi Appiah as the next coach of the Black Stars.
I was there.
And in that interview, I remember telling you that we have to bend our own rule to give because at the criteria, we had said that UEFA Pro license. Kwesi Appiah didn't have UEFA Pro license. But we felt that Kwesi Appiah is so qualified to lead the Black Stars. And we gave him the job again. What happened? Kate came in and said that Kwesi Appiah, he cannot work with Kwesi Appiah, and that the kind of Black Stars he wants to build, Kwesi Appiah doesn't qualify. In fact, I can tell you on authority that the president of the land, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa, even tried to persuade the leadership of the FA to say that, please, maintain this man for me. They didn't listen. And as president, he can only suggest, he can detect when it comes to football matters. So he let go, and you appointed his assistant. When you appointed his assistant, you didn't give the man the free hand to operate. CK was not given the free hand to operate. We are all aware.
So Mr. George, the question I'm asking is, right, what is the solution? Having been there, how do we solve this problem? Because in the last 4 years... Yes.
First of all, looking at qualification is almost mathematically impossible.
Yes.
That's number one. For me, I'm not one of those who will say we have to sack Otto. We are not sacking Otto. We have to keep faith with him and make sure that he continues the process he has started. Because remember, we still have the World Cup qualifying where he is still the coach.
Yes.
So we have to still give him the needed support. But for going for this current AFCON, let's accept that we are out. And allow Otto to take his decision and learn on the job. And for me, I think that we should allow him to learn on the job. And then we move forward. That's all I can say.
Uncle George, you know, many Ghanaians, so this is the solution to the problem because we've been to 2 AFCONs.
You want me to say that group stage? Coach? No, I'm not for it. Solutions, proper solutions as to how players are called up and all that. That one I leave that to the coach. Because at least, now, you see, Muftar, let me tell you something. There are so many unanswered questions as to why we failed to win here and to also beat Sudan. And those questions, you, the media, must ask. You see,
what are those questions?
Players pulled out prior to this match. It's questionable. As to today, me, I'm not convinced the kind of excuses being given as why Partey couldn't come, as why Joseph Pencil couldn't come, and another player from US, this pista couldn't come, Osman Bukhari couldn't come. I'm not convinced. Some of the excuses being given, they just want you to take it and accept it. I'm also not convinced under what circumstances where we have a Black Star structure where who is the captain, the next in line, it's already structured as to how I mean it in such a crucial manner the captain was given to Kudus and all those things. I mean, there are so many things we are not there, so it's difficult for me to say. But once we have answers to those things, it will be now easier for me to prefer a solution to the problem. But for me, going forward, it's too early for anybody to say that we should just, no. I support, let's maintain him. Let's Otto learn on the job. And then the small mistakes, we correct them, and then we'll move forward. But AFCON 2025 in Morocco, let's kick it out. We are out completely.
But Mr. George, in 30 seconds for me, right? You'd recall in 2016 when Ghana had already qualified for AFCON 2017, then Sports Minister Neil Lande van der Poel suggested that the FA should use home-based players for the game against Rwanda, which was also played at the Accra Sports Stadium. This conversation has come up. If Ghana is not going to AFCON 2025, why not use home-based players and let them use these matches as preparatory for the CHAN tournament, which is going to happen in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania next year? Where do you sit in this conversation?
No, I don't subscribe to that.
Okay.
It's very simple. You still have World Cup qualifying matches ahead of you. And you need these matches to prepare for the players to bond and also to focus for those World Cup matches. So I don't subscribe to that.
Okay.
For me, I'm not for that.
Okay. Mr. George Afriyie, thank you very much. I appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, Muftar.
Thank you. George Afriyie is former Vice President of the Ghana Football Association. He was also a management committee chairman of the senior national team between 2015 and 2018. Now, let's wrap up with the fans who have been reacting to the performance of the Black Stars following that 2-0 loss against Sudan.
Yeah, there's no spirit in the team. You see, there is something like a soul of a nation are the homegrown players. Now, there's no soul in the whole team if you look at the team, because it seems the foreign players are more than the homegrown players. And these players, if you look at them on the pitch, they have no motivation to play football. You see, moreover to our coach, I don't think the coach will help us, because this is not the standard of coach that need to coach a team like Ghana Black Star. We are known in Africa as a football nation, but look at what is happening to Ghana today. There's no love out there. The players are not committed, and everything is just going the way it wants. So what's the name? The GFA president, Keto Kreku. I think the GFA president, I think the whole GFA secretariat, they need to sit up, because what is happening is not good. It's not good at all. If Ghana footballing nation can employ a trainer scout, to come and coach a national team, a big team like Ghana Black Star, Charlie, is very awful. They need to do something.
Kwesi Appiah, onye that good, onye that excellent, but rather than we're exposing him and say we're a kindergarten coach. He's not supposed to even be under 17 coach of Black Stars. We are a winning country. Yeah, we have history. We've won many trophies. You don't go for a substandard coach like Otuado. Look at him. Where 20 formation boy. Who shall born now? I say a cycle 11 and a slam down 11. The guy should resign. The whole Black Stars should be dissolved. The question is, you want us to go to Africa?
Etia football na kese di kan kadara. Yenya new A. Ese dissolve your football no. The playing body, Ediban management so. Ningi na esi egulu. Nyami ene etua Black Star kano. Because problem ho ese solve yan tackle problem no. E bia na de namu na nipa kekere bi ni we chire na omo ten ket nipa kekere bi na ten Otuado. Obi ehun so Otuado abo ket ni tiewu. Omo nyina skedi enti no mo. Nyami na etua mo kana decline na ye decline no. Ye decline wie ye. You better from classing say. The right thing now, you better from classing say.
I don't know the GF on what about the Papa Bear pan or more added up to Ghana football. Your league here, just player back up in the local league no account. What's the use of the league? What's the use of the FA? Maybe I'm cano I was expecting 4 goals. What's wrong with the idea? Because you have a mobile. Now, I'm never bought drawn. I'm man of the match. It's not that we don't have the players, but administrators are the main cause of the problem.
Well, the cause for Otuado to maybe walk away from the job doesn't appear to be possible. He signed a 34-month contract with the Ghana Football Association, with the option of extending it to 5 years and on a salary of $50,000. Imagine asking him to walk away from this juicy contract. Media reports in England suggest that Thomas Tuchel has accepted to be the head coach of the English national team, which is the Three Lions. We have details in our subsequent bulletins. That is your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com.
Hello there, welcome back. You're still watching the AM show, and it's been an eventful morning from the news review and sports. Now let's get ready for AM business. But before that, take note, Medicas Hospital, a modern healthcare facility built with your recovery in mind, spacious wards built with your family in mind, is extending a warm and caring pediatric units built with your children in mind. And we have assembled some of the brightest minds in medicine, led by Dr. Yao Osafo, the drive time doctor, to serve you. And we offer general medical services as well as specialist services in plastic surgery, obstetrics and gynecology, child health, urology, psychiatry, that is mental health, and eye care. Additionally, we offer a comprehensive medical diagnostic service encompassing endoscopy, medical laboratory services, x-rays and scans. A 24-hour pharmacy ensures you will always receive efficacious, safe and affordable medicines. I will bring to you the most powerful medicine of all, simple human kindness and empathy. We take pride in holding ourselves to the highest attainable standards, and we accept all forms of payment, including from private health insurance companies. And locate Medicas Hospital at number 10 Kincho Street, near Ashalebotre School Junction, or you can also call on 0501-477-340 or reach us on social media at Medicas GH. Medicas Hospital, a place of healing. Now on to today's Joy Business. Let me tell you what's happening this morning. A senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa, has challenged the Bank of Ghana to work more at reducing the cost of borrowing to propel private sector growth. Now, according to him, despite some banks offering low interest rates on loans, managers of the economy must also take a relook at the macroeconomic indicators. He believes when the macro indicators are right, banks will be compelled to reduce their rates further. Dr. Amwa spoke to Joy Business. This is AM Business for you. A sincere apologies. That story was actually a business update. Now, for today's AM Business, suppliers of building materials in Accra are worried about a dip in sales. Now, according to them, they're making losses due to price fluctuations. And here's more in AM Business.
There has been a colossal increase in the prices of various building materials across the country. According to some construction materials wholesalers and merchants, this is due to inflation, policy rates, and the amount of imported building supplies in the country. Kofi, who is into the production of wood for building, says the government should be willing to collaborate with the private sector to keep building materials prices in check. He stated that wholesalers charge customers outrageous prices, scaring them away.
Expenses are too much, transport is too much. Before sending money to be here no more. Na ayese ne mane boa ye din ti obi kura floor say obusa wade den boa before so be you no actually say be ase ne ton and say ne ton.
It's very expensive conveying the wood and other building materials to Accra. We feel unhappy sometimes giving out the price to our customers. We are scared they might go away, and besides, you are not the only one selling wood around.
But I
think the government should step in and control the prices. We know it's a general problem, but the authorities should not sit aloof for citizens to make their own decisions. Fifi has been in the cement business for 17 years. According to him, wholesalers and merchants would have to beg some customers before purchasing their product. He explains the clients believe that the supplies are being sold at exorbitant cost on purpose.
Yeah, and so I'm at the time is low. Because
there is a dip in sales. You could get 2 bags of cement with 100 cedis months ago, but now you cannot. The buyers think it's a deliberate act by we the sellers to increase the prices. We need to even beg them to come around to buy the materials.
Complaints are dozen.
Now, what cement bag? Currently, what is the price for a cement bag?
Currently, in Sicilian cement, no. Near me was Sicilian 32.5R grade, and we're 58. And they all 42.5R, and here 63.
Okay, aside cement, what are some of the materials a bit costly because me roofing plaster, me some plywood be near then almost are their prices stable or and also price na shoot up.
Shoot up. I find it's galvanize.
The prices of everything here in my shop has shot up astronomically. The roofing sheet was 28 cedis recently, but now 32 cedis. Plywood is now 52 cedis, but 48 cedis weeks ago. The price of imported materials have really shot up, but the prices of the local manufactured materials is manageable.
Locally, no,
some of these merchants are bewailing the rate at which prices rise. Antiafi, a paint and other materials vendor, voiced her displeasure with the rate at which prices rise in a shorter period of time.
The cost of building materials have shot up astronomically. You would have to add up any time you're going to buy any building materials from the wholesalers because the prices aren't stable. The glue was sold at 90 cedis, but now 130 cedis. Wheelbarrow was 220 cedis just last Friday, but now 240 in the space of 3 days. Because of that, we cannot even make the end profit, but end up running at loss. The rate at which the prices go up is mind-boggling.
220. Me frakra mi bisa na nakra 260. Enu ti wo hwe na sa nils na 45 Ghana cedis. Enne ye to no 640. 64 ya 64 e wakra. Nti ba ha be kosoro. Enu ti wo to niam na sisi ya na atum na kosoro. Ti niam de e kosoro.
Things will never change with John unless Ghanaians adjust their business approach. Citizens, he believes, have a role to play in this. We shouldn't always blame the government for the hike in prices. We know it has a part to play in this. But I think we, the citizens, are to be blamed because we keep increasing prices without directive from the authorities. We need to give the right price out there to the customers. However, Charles, who also sells wood, attributes the increase to the hike in fuel prices. Ours is influenced by the fuel increment. We just don't increase the price of the wood.
Welcome back, and we delve into some crucial issues this morning. The fate of 4 members of Parliament hangs in the balance as Speaker of Parliament Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbing has ruled declaring their seats vacant, or he has to rule on that to declare it vacant or not in the next 48 hours. Now, this follows a petition by the former Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu to the Speaker that their seats be declared vacant, invoking Articles 97(1)(g) of the Constitution. But Majority Leader Alexander Apenyo-Markin has taken matters into maybe his own hands by pushing for the Apex Court to make a pronouncement on this all-important matter. Because guess what? In the end, there are 4 of them involved, 1 of them from the NDC's end, and 3 of them tied to the MPP, which means that that could shift the majority position in Parliament before election 2024. So, where do we go from here? I want you to watch this footage of what happened in Parliament yesterday, and then we'll come into the studio with our guests.
Mr. Speaker, Parliament hasn't yet taken a decision. In fact, in the context of Article 2 of the Constitution, it is an act or omission of a person which violates the Constitution, which triggers an action before the Supreme Court for either an interpretation or an enforcement of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, the Majority Leader knows that to take an action in anticipation does not comply with the letter and spirit of the Constitution. In fact, the Supreme Court made it very clear in Tufo and Attorney General that it does not give advisory opinions. What the Majority Leader has done is basically asking the Supreme Court to give an advisory opinion on a matter that, in respect of which Parliament hasn't yet taken any action. And as a Leader of the House, I think that what he's doing, or what he has done by taking that action, is basically weakening the power of Parliament. It was in the same Tufo and Attorney General that the court said that whatever happens in Parliament is a closed book.
I read that says, when a member makes a statement, the Speaker, considering the comments of the statement, may direct a committee to investigate and inquire into the matter. And the last part says, and when necessary, propose legislation. But this is not about legislation. So, Mr. Speaker, a statement is made. First of all, the statement has to be admitted. But because of the urgency of this matter, I don't think I'll even belabor that point. Order 93.8 says that the clerk shall make available to members copies of the admitted statements. But because of the urgency of this matter and the seriousness of the matter, I will not also belabor that point. But Mr. Speaker, when you look at Order 3, Order 3 says that, sorry, Order 5, 2. They say in any case not provided by these orders, the Speaker shall decide on the posterior question. Mr. Speaker, as far as Order 93 is concerned, it is clear what will happen to a statement made under Order 93. And we have been in this House for a long time. When you decide to make a statement, after people will comment, that's what we are doing. When we finish commenting, if the Speaker thinks that the comments are such as to raise a serious issue, you refer the matter to a committee. The committee will go investigate the matter and bring its report. Mr. Speaker, the question of how to enter into Parliament in a particular matter lies entirely in the bosom of the person who intends to bring the matter to Parliament.
So there you have it. Those who will be joining us on this belt of the conversation as we get into the legal intricacies, including the parliamentary decision-making process. Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo, he will be joining us shortly. We have Kweku Paintsel, a lawyer. We have Dr. Rasheed Draman of the African Center for Parliamentary Affairs, and John Osai-Kwapong, Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, a CDD fellow. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, so, all right, I see you, Dr. John Osai-Kwapong. and I see Kweku Painto. Roxanne Nelson Dafiamakbo is on phone. Very good morning to you, Roxanne. I'm trying to connect with the South Dine legislator. Roxanne, if you can hear me,
Hello.
Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Okay, you sound a bit low. If you could just speak
Hello,
up.
good morning.
Good to hear from you.
Good morning to you, good morning to my co-panel.
Right. Thank you, Kweku, for joining. Thank you, Roxanne, and thank you, Dr. John Osai-Kwapong. I'd like to pick your initial thoughts before we kickstart the investigation or the conversation proper. Your quick thoughts on these developments and what you make of it on the surface. I'll start with you, Kweku Painto.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Painto, I can hear you. Go.
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Excuse me, what's your question?
So I'm asking, on the back of what happened in Parliament yesterday, before we get into the nitty-gritty, your brief assessment in less than a minute of what you saw and what you think about the happenings.
Well, that's normal business. Parliament would always stand on opposite sides of the same issue and argue, and therefore it's not really strange. They are divided upon a matter which they both believe in their side. So it's normal. That's how Parliament operates. Even when the law is so certain and so clear, parties will always disagree. And therefore, I find that it's strange what happened yesterday. That's my brief assessment.
Thank you. Roxanne, you were in Parliament. What do you make of these developments, especially with the former minority leader and what he has brought to the fore on this matter?
Now, thank you very much. I wasn't just in Parliament, I also contributed towards the statement made by the minority leader. Now, regarding the notice of petition brought by the former minority leader, that is a process that's pending. But in review of the matter raised yesterday by the minority leader, it's germane. Germane in the sense that there's no way the issues contemplated under Article 97.1 of the Constitution in such a way that in terms that any of such an instance is triggered, it can be ignored. What are we saying? We are saying that, for instance, as a member of Parliament, you vacate your seat when Parliament is dissolved. It is that simple. There's no litigation about that. And that you resign when you vacate your seat when you resign. It is that simple. There's no litigation about that. When, as a member of Parliament, you are elected to serve as Speaker, you vacate your seat. There's no litigation about that. So all the instances cited under Article 97.1 of the Constitution, there are no litigation. The point we are making is that when an independent member of Parliament decides to join a political party, he has to vacate his seat. Where a member of Parliament or the ticket of a political party decides to conduct his business as an independent member of Parliament, you have to vacate your seat. It is that simple. These matters have not been disputed. So the automaticity of operation of law is what we are calling to be enforced, and that's our point. And this matter, Professor Okwe, as the then Speaker in November 2010, had the opportunity to pronounce on it. And it's a precedent. So we are only following precedent, or we are only asking for the precedent to be followed.
All right, and there has been no swaying from this precedent in the past?
At all. It's not been disputed. It remains the position of the House. It's not been litigated in court either.
Right. And we'll get to, those honorable advocates, for example, saying that this is premature, the majority leader going to, that it could tie the hands of Parliament moving forward. Atachia saying that, these people have the right to think and decide whichever way they want to go. We'll get into all of that. If you look at Article 97.1G of the Constitution and 97.1 from A onwards talk about a member of Parliament vacating his seat, his here used in generic terms, in Parliament and the conditionalities. G says, if he leaves the party of which he was a member at the time of his election to Parliament to join another party or seeks to remain in Parliament as an independent member. And it goes on and on from there. Or H, if he was elected a member of Parliament as an independent candidate and joins a political party, which would be the case of Honorable Esiama, for example, the second Deputy Speaker. But let me come to you, Dr. John Osai-Kwapong. Quick thoughts.
It's an interesting development, and it will be very interesting to see how the Speaker rules on it. Following proceedings, he's asked for 48 hours to be able to come back with a well-reasoned, well-informed, fair judgment, etc., etc. So it'll be very interesting to see whether he departs from the precedent that was set by the former Speaker of the House, Speaker Okwe, or whether he would reinforce that precedent. But you also cannot overlook the politics of it, which is control of the House is at stake, right? And that if you follow the precedent, this turns the House into the hands of the minority party, even if Parliament only has 3 months left in this parliamentary, the life of this particular Parliament. So it will just be very interesting to see how all of this, unfolds, especially also given the judicial aspect of it, which is will the courts, have a say in this, and what kind of say will the courts have, and how would that also affect the extent to which this issue is resolved.
Right.
Well, now that we've laid the foundation, let's get into the critical issues.
I want to start with the Member of Parliament and lawyer, Roxy Nelson Dapemokbo. I want to find out from you, do you think, or what is your assessment of the political risk that this situation poses, both to the minority and the majority, before we proceed?
Thank you very much. But whether or not there are political ramifications to this matter is immaterial.
Is it material?
It's immaterial. What is important is that, hold on, what is important is that what does the law say? And how was the law enforced the last time that we had a similar scenario? The last time we had a similar scenario was in October 2020, when the now second Deputy Speaker of Parliament, who was the then Member of Parliament for Formula on the ticket of the MPP, decided to abandon the political party that sponsored him to Parliament and to go independent. To go independent in the sense that as a sitting member of Parliament at the time, he decided to abandon his party. The party triggered the process by formally writing to Parliament for the enforcement of Article 97(1)(g) at the time. They wrote to Speaker on the 13th of October 2020. The Speaker came back on Saturday, 7th of November 2020, and made a pronouncement. In making that pronouncement, the Speaker declared that for forfeiting the membership of your party by going independent, you have automatically left the membership of your party, and by automaticity of operation of law, you are deemed to have vacated in pursuance of Article 97(1)(d) of the Constitution. He painted a number of scenarios. He says that it is not in the contemplation of the Constitution to expect a member of Parliament or who sits on the ticket of a party to leave the party and pretend to do things politically independent and still be expected to champion the cause of the party in the same Parliament. That is not in the contemplation of the Constitution. So when that happens, it is a lacuna that the Constitution does not contemplate. Then we again ask, if in the course of going independent, the sitting member of Parliament wins the seat, and he returns to Parliament of the state Parliament to conduct business, how is he expected to, in the same breath, oppose the party that he previously was a member and also to canvass for his issues as an independent member. So these scenarios were clearly not contemplated and not approved by the Constitution. That is why the Constitution says, when you
your voice is fading away, as you go. Kindly speak up for us.
Okay. So that is why Michael Quinn said, when that happens, you are expected to vacate the seat for the proper things to be done. Now, when you go to CI 127, that is the Public Elections Regulation 2020, if you go to Regulation 14.1, under Regulation 14.1, after the filing of nominations of candidates for a public election, the Electoral Commission will have to assign colors and symbols. And what they do is that under Regulation 14.1a, where a candidate in a public election, especially parliamentary or presidential, is sponsored by a political party, that candidate is assigned the symbols and colors of that political party. As we speak, the second deputy speaker, who is also the sitting independent member of parliament for Promotional, has been posted as the MPP parliamentary candidate for Promotional with the colors and symbols of the MPP for the December 7, 2024 election. So clearly he has joined the MPP. Two, if you go to Regulation 15 of the same law, which is the CI 127, the Regulation 15 mandates the Electoral Commission to issue what we call notice of poll. And the notice of poll is to be gazetted. The content of the notice of poll is to indicate the persons who have fully filed and are contesting for the election in a particular constituency or electoral area. This notice of poll will indicate your political color or the symbol that for which you are signed or sponsored by, and also your position on the ballot. As we speak, the Electoral Commission has issued this notice of poll, clearly indicating that the MPP member of Parliament for Aguna West, for instance, and Suhun, for instance, have been given independent symbols.
Right.
They are no longer assigned. Yes.
Be that as it may, you say it's insignificant, but the majority leader has taken this to the Supreme Court. Do you still maintain that the Supreme Court's ruling will still be insignificant if these seats must be declared vacant by all means?
No, you said the political ramifications. I'm talking to the law. Okay. So in respect of the fact that the majority leader has gone to court, the Supreme Court in the Fiamepo versus Attorney General recently held that the court cannot return Parliament for performing its constitutional and legislative duties. So that is settled. So the right to go to the Supreme Court to as it were, injunct Parliament for making a decision in this matter has already been pronounced upon by the Supreme Court. So Parliament's hands are not tied at all. Parliament has the power and duty and the law to proceed to act in this matter without having to abide by any outcome of the Supreme Court.
Roxanne, right, we want to move to our other guests, but a quick one. So you're saying that based on that precedent, what you are saying is that this was a sort of illegality going on in Parliament, right?
Yes.
It was illegal?
Yes.
But it has been allowed to go on this long. The question then is, why are you now? Why now? Why now to remedy the situation?
What is an illegality?
Hello?
What is an illegal? Perhaps I didn't get it.
I'm talking about 97(1)G and maybe H as well. With these candidates now, after everything that has been done, Honorable Isiama has caucused with the MPP for quite a while, though he came into Parliament as an independent candidate. When it gets to this period, right before elections...
Okay, there's a distinction between caucusing and joining.
I get that point. That is not the thrust of what I'm saying. What I'm saying is...
Hold on, let me explain. The Constitution allows an independent member of Parliament to caucus.
Roxanne, if you will allow me to land, you will get my point. I'm not saying caucusing is the problem. I'm saying why now? Is it because of the electoral processes that have led to now the EC coming out and, like you said, Honorable Isiama having the colors of the MPP, contesting on the ticket of the MPP? which is why it is relevant now that they recuse themselves from Parliament. Is that what you're saying?
What we are saying is that to caucus with a group of Parliament is lawful, constitutional. But to decide to contest on the ticket of the party, it is what is deemed unconstitutional.
Okay.
And you have to wait until the person makes the decision and formalizes it. That is by actually filing with the Electoral Commission as the MPP candidate for Komina.
Thank you, Roxanne.
You cannot raise the matter when it is not mature.
All right, Roxanne.
Now it is mature for us to raise it.
All right, thank you. Thank you for those points.
I want to find out from Kweku Pencil, who is a lawyer. I mean, if the seats are declared vacant, Ben will come to you on other aspects, but if these seats are declared vacant, what is the next legal or parliamentary step? How will this affect the composition of Parliament? And what are the potential consequences for the NDC and the NPP? Mr. Pencil, are you with us? I don't think we have Kweku Pencil.
Check to see whether we have Dr. Rasheed Draman. Do we have Rasheed Draman on the line? Okay. Dr. Draman, I don't think you've had a bite of this yet. You actually focus on... All right, so it appears we don't have Dr. Draman yet. We rather have...
Dr. John Osai-Kwapon?
Exactly.
Okay.
Doc, looking at what has happened, we had wanted to get Kweku Pencil's thoughts on the legal intricacies of this matter. But from where you sit, Roxanne says precedents point to the fact that this is normal procedure. There is nothing wrong with this. When you get to this point in the electoral process and there are candidates per 97(1)(g) and H, this is what applies. Do you find any problem with the timing?
I mean, we are what? So, I mean, I in principle, I can understand why the point will be raised that, look, we are just trying to, now that the notice of poll has been served and these candidates have formally declared that either they are running on the ticket on the MPP or they are running as independents, then the normal course has to follow where we invoke the Constitution and say that you are in breach of it, therefore these seats must be declared vacant, etc., etc. I'm no lawyer and I'm no constitutional expert, but the thing that I wonder about is this is their intention on how they want to serve, not in the current parliament, but in the next parliament. So for me, my layman understanding of it is, I ask myself, should you hold these actions against them within the current parliament, of which they have not said, I am no longer either an independent or an MPP in this parliament, but rather, this is how I intend to serve in an upcoming parliament. And that for me is how I look at it as someone who is not a constitutional expert or a legal expert. I would simply say that if I look at both the letter and the spirit of the law, I am not sure the drafters of the Constitution intended it to be to apply to situations in which it's dealing with how I want to serve in an upcoming parliament, as opposed to in the current parliament.
Dr. Osai-Kwapon, I want you to listen to this again from the Constitution and then answer me. It makes clear a member of parliament shall vacate his seat in parliament. I'm going to read G and H to you one more time for the last time. If he leaves the party of which he was a member at the time of his election to parliament to join another party, or seeks to remain in parliament as an independent member. Or H, if he was elected a member of parliament as an independent candidate and joins a political party. Honorable Esiama came as an independent candidate. Now, he is contesting in the 2024 elections on the ticket of the MPP. And you look at some of the others, they entered as on the tickets of the MPP. And now some of them are going independent. Do you still stand on the same premise you said?
Yes, because this is in the in this parliament, they have not left the party for the purposes of conducting business in this parliament. At least that's how I am reading it. They are saying, look, for the next parliament, I want to return either as an MPP or as an independent candidate. And that is, for me, how I am reading it and saying, perhaps that should be the way we construe this whole idea of, the party that you came in and whether you left, and if that means that your seat is now vacant.
Okay, let's go to Kweku Penso. He's back online with us. And Mr. Penso, so from a legal standpoint, how should the Speaker really interpret this Article 97 Clause 1G in the current context? Should there be more clarity around it, considering that the Majority Leader is seeking the Supreme Court's ruling on it? Do we need more clarity on this?
I will put it this way. It's only the Supreme Court of Ghana that can provide clarity beyond question on any issue of law. And therefore, if in the previous constitution or in the previous parliamentary session, the Speaker made a ruling, that ruling cannot bind the Supreme Court. That is at best a reflection of the Speaker's view on the matters that transpired before that parliament. And therefore, we cannot even be bound by that decision as far as the Supreme Court is concerned. It's possible that Parliament may use it as a guide in whatever they do, but the true body that defines what the Constitution says and how it is interpreted is the Supreme Court. And I'm allowed to say that I agree wholly with the previous speaker. Law is resolved in many ways, but let me give you by parity of reasoning, by analogous reasoning. I mean, how the law has defined relationships. With respect, let me use even just the simple everyday matter of marriage. If people undertake a matrimonial, affiliation, and that is to say a monogamous marriage under our laws, the law is clear that until that marriage has been dissolved by a court of law, irrespective of how the parties conduct themselves, the law sees the marriage as subsistent. There could be the man living with another woman, having left his wife wherever, and that kind of thing. I'm telling you, if the man were to die and the court has to make a determination as to his marriage, whatever, the woman he left under the matrimonial ordinance and failed to dissolve it through a court of law is recognized as the wife. I just want to enhance what the doctor has said, because he caveated his own decision by saying that because he's not a lawyer. Master, let him understand that what he's speaking does not only make common sense, but it is also a matter of law. And please, because I'm a lawyer and because this matter is the court of law, we'll all be judged at the end of the day by the view that the Supreme Court will take on the substantive issue of the capacity of a parliamentarian who decides to do business in the term of that parliament and not outside the term of that parliament. My view and my interpretation, which may be judged when the Supreme Court eventually rules, is whether by mere reason of a declaration of intent to contest another party's ticket, that makes him a member of that party for the current term that is in parliament. And besides, we are all forgetting the fact that the man represents a constituency. He represents people whose views and wishes and hopes and aspirations are hinged to his presence in parliament.
Right, Mr. Penso. So, I mean, does this situation really expose any gaps or ambiguities in our constitution regarding this tenure and responsibilities of MPs? Should we be considering constitutional or electoral reforms to address such legal conundrums in the future? Should we be looking at a reform?
Electoral reforms have not come in. The real issue is the true interpretation of what we have in our constitution. I remember your guest or your host and your co-host reading over G and H. And let me put it this way, if I have time to go through what he read over, if he leaves the party of which was a member of the time of his election to parliament to join another party, this has not happened in the sense that, or seeks to remain in parliament as an independent member. Nobody has left his party to join another party during the term of this parliament in the sense that the intention to create that relationship is in the term of the parliament to come. Indeed, the surest way of a person leaving his party is by resigning. That's the surest way. What is rather happening is that people are putting an interpretation on the intention that had been declared to seek an office or seek parliamentary seat in the next parliament.
Kweku Painto, you are expressing your idea or your thinking or your reflection of 97, 1G and H. But you just said something. I just want to take you back to it. You said, right before we go to Dr. Rasheed Draman, you said that these members of parliament represent constituencies, represent people. Now, I want to ask you, the member of parliament for Fomena, for example, Honorable Esiama, became MP on the ticket of independent candidacy. The people who voted for him voted for him over the MPP's candidate. Now he is going to contest on the ticket of the MPP. Is he still representing those interests?
Naturally. I mean, a representation of people in parliament is to stand in for them, express their views, represent them in all ways. And that code or that political creed or that affiliation that he had with his constituents does not change for the current term. The term of which he took an oath to represent that particular constituency. It does not fade merely because he has declared an intention in the next parliament to join a political party.
Okay, right.
He still owes an obligation to his constituents on the ticket or on the terms on which he came to parliament.
All right. Thank you for that quick answer. Let me bring in Dr. Rasheed Draman of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Dr. Draman, thank you for joining the conversation. I'm sure you've heard of a lot of what the other guests have said on 97, 1G and H. What is your proper interpretation of these two clauses of 97, 1?
Thank you very much, and a good morning to everyone. Let me start by giving a caveat. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm hearing lawyers, giving all kinds of interpretations to, these constitutional provisions. Yesterday, when I was following the debate in Parliament, there was one particular submission that really, brought home all these arguments to me. And that was a submission made by Honorable Dafiameko when he was making reference to, I think, H or one of the constitutional provisions.
Right.
And this was in relation to Right Honorable Dua Jaho, where the Constitution says if a member of Parliament is elected to the high office of the Speaker of Parliament, automatically he or she ceases to be a member of Parliament, and therefore a by-election is triggered. So his argument was anchored on the automaticity of some of these provisions. And so for me, I think that drew this whole thing home. Look, I think we are stretching these arguments too much. And I've heard lawyers who have faulted Right Honorable Michael Kwe for the ruling that he made exactly about 4 years ago. And yesterday, I think in the final words of the Right Honorable Speaker, again, he said, don't do unto others what you don't want others to do unto you. And I thought that was a very telling kind of, remark from the Right Honorable Speaker. So for me, from where I sit and watching Parliament and having followed all these things over the years, what is worrying for me, Benjamin, is the fact that I think we've seen so many forays of the courts into parliamentary space. If we are not careful, we are setting Parliament for inefficiency. We are setting Parliament for ineffectiveness, because look, in the 9th Parliament, depending on who is who holds the majority, we might see some of these things used as precedents. If somebody is not happy with anything that's happening in Parliament, he or she will run to court. And then, even before, in this instance, even before the Right Honorable Speaker has given a ruling, we are seeing injunctions and so on. So for me, I think that is the worrying part. That is the worrying part. If we are not careful, we are opening up Parliament for excessive interference by other branches of government.
Dr. Draman,
currently,
yes. and that's a point that Cletus Avoka makes, that we may end up fettering Parliament by maybe even having this fetish for going to the apex court. There's also been talk about the fact that I heard one of them say, what happens in Parliament is a closed book. So it appears they are opening themselves consistently for the judiciary to now say, okay, this is the way to go. Though technically you know that in the end, if there are problems of this nature, the apex court will decide. But based on precedents, if we are to look at merely precedents, does this paint a hypocritical picture on the part of the majority? Different strokes for different folks?
Yes, indeed. So I think let me go to the point you made first before I come to this. You know, judicial reviews are normal in democracies. I mean, if a decision of Parliament infringes on any constitutional provision, I mean, the law courts come in. We see that happen, I mean, in advanced democracies, you know. But in this particular case, I mean, there hasn't even been a decision yet from Parliament. The Speaker hasn't made a ruling, and then we are seeing this. And then secondly, I think in terms of, you know, the standards, we have to make sure that there is a dictum in parliamentary development which says that minorities change. And in fact, there is a famous US senator, I think in his last statement on the floor, a very famous senator from Hawaii, Senator Inouye, he's famously quoted as having said that minorities change, and whatever you do, just make sure that when one day you find yourself on the minority side, you can live with, you know, whatever policies or whatever laws that you are trying to push down the throat of the minority. And I think that this is a classic case of that kind of situation. I mean, if 4 years ago we said that, and indeed it was even the party at the time that wrote to the Speaker, and our constitution hasn't changed, Benjamin. We are still dealing with the same constitution.
Right.
So what is different here in this particular instance? I think we have to be clear. It's about balance of power. We understand that.
Right. Dr. Draman.
So maybe yes, let me land.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, let the parties that are aggrieved come on some other different and maybe stronger arguments. But if they rely on this constitutional provision, I guess there are a lot of questions that have been left unanswered.
Just a quick one before Sweetie comes in. So you're saying that from where you sit, what the minority is calling for is the right thing? Just a straightforward answer.
Yes, because I think I mentioned what I heard yesterday from Dafiameko, which really drove this home to me. And then if we tie this to the precedents that has been set by Right Honorable Speaker Okwe, maybe unless somebody says that we are not reading this English quite well. And if so, then like you rightly said, this constitutional provision is a candidate for a constitutional review whenever we get a chance to review our constitution, so that, I mean, the rendition is made as clear as it can be, because I think in these matters, we don't want any ambiguities.
Right.
Otherwise, we might face similar situations in the future. We are going to see parties haven't learned their lessons. We are going to have the same situation maybe 4 years down the road, where some candidates might be aggrieved and decide to either go independent or do whatever they think might improve their electoral fortunes. And then we will be back to this same conversation.
Dr. Draman, you spoke about balance and the excessive interference by the courts in parliamentary businesses. So in this case, where do we draw the balance? Can Parliament independently deal with this matter, considering that the Supreme Court has been brought into it? And what are the possible legal and political solutions to navigate this conundrum as we speak? How do we move forward?
I think that, yes, for me, I think the leaders of Parliament have to reflect carefully on this. Because like I said, I mean, we might wake up in the 9th Parliament and the balance will be different. And if somebody is not happy with any little thing that is happening in the House, they will run to the court. I mean, we don't want that. We don't want Parliament to be, in a position where it cannot do its constitutional duties. Benjamin spoke about the fact that, whatever happens in Parliament is a closed book. Honorable Muntaka Mubarak has been, talking about this almost every moment when he gets a chance, and there are issues related to the interference of the judiciary in the work of Parliament.
So in your expert opinion?
He says, yes. So before the 8th Parliament, most of us thought that whatever happened in Parliament was a closed book. But, the 8th Parliament has taught us that that is not the case. And I think the leaders must reflect carefully on this. I think for the sake of, the changing nature of minorities in our Parliament.
Right.
So that tomorrow, when somebody is in the minority, they don't come crying wolf and saying this is not fair because a precedent is being set.
So the Speaker has asked for 2 days to think on this and rule. Should he wait for the Supreme Court before he makes a decision? In your expert opinion, in terms of the way forward, should the Speaker wait for the Supreme Court or just go ahead and independently, as Parliament, deal with this?
No, I don't think that the Speaker should wait for the Supreme Court. In my honest opinion, Parliament is doing its work. Let the court wait and let the Speaker make his ruling. Let somebody say this is, over the years, what I have always told Parliament is that, we have interpreted the powers that are given to Parliament by the Constitution and by the standing orders to the extent that, most of the time, Parliament takes the lesser part of those powers. I.e., when Right Honorable Speaker Okwe said in the matter of the private members' bill, Speaker after Speaker tried and people said, no, this is an infringement on the Constitution because it's going to impose a cost on the consolidated fund and so on. And at the time, I think that the conversation was, let's do this and let somebody go to the court and tell us that, we are punching above our weight and we are taking powers that we do not have. And today, the private members' bill regime has come to stay in our Parliament.
Right.
I think it's the same thing here. Let Parliament exercise its powers as provided for by the Constitution, and then afterwards, let's hear from the courts. So I think the Right Honorable Speaker should go ahead and make his ruling.
All right. Thank you
maybe
so much.
As you deliver your final comments, gentlemen, another thing that has been on my mind, is it premature? Because the Speaker hasn't even ruled yet, and the Majority Leader is in Parliament. Some people have said, let him rule, and if he rules in that way, then you can go to the apex court. I don't know what you think, but I can start with you again, Dr. Draman, with your final thoughts. Final thoughts for everybody, and it's a wrap. In some 40 seconds maximum for each person. Dr. Draman.
Yes, so let the Speaker rule. Let anybody who is not happy with the ruling go to court.
Okay.
So that in that case, at least we are strengthening our democratic practices.
Okay.
And I think, again, Benjamin, let me add, let our leaders in Parliament be careful how quick and how fast they run to the court. This might come back to haunt the institution.
All right. Thank you so much for those brief thoughts. Kweku Painto, final thoughts?
I disagree with the previous speaker for the reason that Parliament would always, in terms of interpretation of laws, be subservient to the Supreme Court. That is the peculiar constitution that we have formulated for ourselves in Ghana, following, various experiments, beginning from Kwame Nkrumah through Busia, through military regimes. So the constitution we have is a peculiar constitution, and what's going on in the country is a reflection of what we intended for ourselves. Everybody is free. Supreme Court will always remain the final arbiter. So whatever the speaker does is the embarrassment that.
Pinto, we seem to be losing you. For a moment, you say it's the embarrassment of what? I think there's an issue. Whether I don't know what it is, but we have a sound issue with Kweku Pinto. I really would have wanted to hear what he said about this embarrassment or something. Let me take Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, and then maybe I'll come back to Kweku Pinto. I find it interesting. Professor Aaron Michael Quay did something that became precedent, but now it no longer makes sense. I don't know. Final words, Dr. John Osai-Kwapong.
Well, I share the sentiments and the thoughts expressed by Dr. Rasheed Draman in the sense of, one, let the speaker rule, and if you feel aggrieved, seek some judicial review of that. But at the same time, though, I hope that Parliament as an institution would be a little slow in drawing the courts into a lot of their disputes. Because you see, sometimes when you go to court, depending on the ruling of the court, you set a precedent where sometimes you can even make, quote unquote, a bad situation worse. And I've always said that if there are things that you can resolve by conventions or by administrative practices, try to do that a lot of the time before running to the court to seek judicial intervention.
Doc, we're grateful for your time. And we're fortunate enough to have Peter Yaokwache Aka also joining the conversation, a Memphis Central legislator. A very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
It's good to have you. Now, you ran on the ticket of the NDC in 2020, and things have changed for you. You are also going to be affected by this entire call in Parliament. How do you feel about it, for starters?
Well, to every action, there's a reaction. So if you take some action, you must expect some reaction, or nobody will just sit down there and allow you to go through. So that is politics for you. So I'm ready to face whatever comes.
Are you happy with this reaction, especially as it's coming from your side in Parliament?
Oh, well, I don't have any problem with that. If that is the truth, why not? They should go ahead because this is not the first time. As you spoke to this, maybe constitutional lawyers, they can interpret it better. I'm not a lawyer. I'm an engineer. But I feel that there's a precedent, yes. So we can't argue much. There's a precedent. When the Promotional MP went independent, I think Professor Michael Quay ruled that he was not a member of the party. So maybe we don't know what this present speaker is going to say. He's an experienced person. He knows what to do. And I think he would use his own mind to rule. If he follows the vision of Professor Michael Quay, so be it. If he says that, well, as other lawyers, constitutional lawyers have said that, well, this clause was put there to prevent cross-competition, so that if you are in one party, the next day, you cannot get out and say that you are moving to the other side, to the other party. But this, in our case, we have that intention that the next politics will not be joining again. So a law is two-sided. So we wait for what will come out because we are still with I'm still the NDC. If it's going to vote I'm going to vote for the NDC. But maybe the next parliament, then I'll decide where to go because I'll be an independent candidate. But not in this parliament. People can interpret that way. But no, now I say I'm still with the party. I've not declared any intention to leave the party. I've not declared to leave the parliament. So that's also say that as far as I've left gone to the independence, you cease to be a member of the parliament. So whatever comes, we will accept it.
Okay, so just very briefly, you don't have any problem with this, and do you think it is hypocritical for the majority now to be saying that, we should seek some clarification from the Supreme Court?
That is the funny side of politics. Yes, those agreeing this side, the next side they will feel like it. So there's no one now because but earlier, I think when the MP went, they were supporting the speaker on the other side. Maybe they say it's only the food that doesn't see the money. So let's see the whole honor in the hands of the speaker. So he's an experienced man. He trusts his judgment. He is the most experienced legislator in the country right now.
All right.
So I think to use his own interpretation to give ruling. And whatever comes, I think all of us will have to abide by it.
Thank you so much, Peter Yakwachiaka. He's Member of Parliament for Midfield Central. But we have to give the final word to Roxy Nelson Dapemokbo, and then we are off. Mr. Dapemokbo. Okay, he's gone. So that's that for this belt of conversation. Benjamin, interesting times. Balance between...
Kwachiaka just said that is the funny side of politics.
Yeah, but
He's personally affected, and he says that's the funny side of politics.
It is majorities, it is theirs to use, because the minority wants to use it against them. It's just the politics.
Someone will also say when the NDC was in power and some of these, or the NDC was in opposition under the speakership of Aaron Michael Quay, they could have also run to the Supreme Court. They decided not to. But some would also say, no, precedent stakes, and we were just adhering to the processes.
But I lean towards the caution of we should be careful in interference from the courts in Parliament. Otherwise, we're taking away the independence of these institutions. But folks, we have to go. There's a lot more coming your way on the AM show. Don't go away. We'll be right back. You're still watching the AM show, and if by this time you've not heard of the Joy Sports Invitational, then you're the only new person or stranger in Jerusalem. Let's have a conversation with one of the entities who will be competing fiercely in the tournament, Piva Beverages. In the studio with me this morning is Courage Kodo, branch manager for Piva Beverages, and we have Frank Ejay Mensah, CEO of Piva Beverages. You can see they brought me all these nice drinks. I'm keeping them, right? Okay, thank you so much. Frank, so let's start with you. Piva Beverages, what do you do? We know that you do all these beautiful and delicious drinks that I'm tempted to open and pour into my stomach.
You can do that.
Tell us about Piva.
Okay, so Piva, good morning to our viewers. Frank Ejay Mensah. Piva Beverages is one of the new additions to the drinks products on the market. We have 6 products at the moment. We have the cocktail, we have the grape, we have the cola, the tangy, the orange. I have the new baby on the board. We have our Piva Natural Mineral Water, the best on the market. And our energy is called the Game Energy, bring on the game. So Piva started selling, I think, way back in July. We are about 3 months into the market.
Oh, okay.
And our presence is nationwide now. We are in all the 16 regions of the country now because we put in a very strong marketing strategy. And one thing about the product is that if you taste it, there's no way you will not purchase it because it is so nice. I'm not here to talk about the other competitors, but I can tell you that this is the best on the market, very low in sugar. Adults can take it, kids can take it, working class can take it.
Courage.
So that's Piva.
Courage, before we talk about what, the many goals you are hoping to score in the Invitational, tell us about your strategy to, reach a wider audience in terms of brands management. What do you do differently from the other brands?
Okay, so one of the specific things that we are doing now, we are trying to do the door-to-door engagement. Yes, we realize that a lot of people want to have a personal interaction with us. And so we've developed a system where we get to them where they are. We don't need them to come to us. So we just get to them. And then we do a little sampling to them. So once we are done with the sampling, they just they're just like, okay, I want more, I want more. You
Yeah.
know, that's one of the unique things that we've started developing.
So now let's talk about Joy Sports Invitational. What's inspired you to come on board? It's your first time joining the Invitational.
Yes,
Are you like a team of footballers and athletes and you're ready to win all the trophies? What really is inspiring you or motivating you to join the tournament this year?
Well, myself, I'm a football enthusiast. I support Chelsea Football Club.
Okay,
Everybody knows that.
so there it is.
Yes, so that drove us first. Secondly, I mean, multimedia, you can't do away without them. So we decided that why, as a new product, why can't you also partner with them? We are not only coming as a sponsor, but we are coming to compete and take the cup, for sure.
Hey,
So for the
I like the confidence.
CEO penalty, I've told them that it's better they give us the cup today because definitely I'll take it.
Yes.
I'll take it home.
Which of the games are you playing?
The CEO penalty kicks.
Oh, so that's football.
Football,
Courage, what about you? What are you playing?
I am the top striker.
Hey.
Yeah, well, top man.
Okay.
Top.
So do you have any ladies on your team?
Yes, we do.
You have ladies on your team as well. What are your expectations? Let's talk about that. At the end of the tournament, how many trophies are you expecting to go home with? Back to your company, Piva Beverages.
So I was having a conversation with one of your workers here, and then one of the things that I said to him was that, listen, for the football, we are training all the time, right, ahead of the game. So we are very sure we are going to take the cup when it comes to the football game. When it comes to tag of war, we have our men ready. The sack race as well, we have our people ready for all of this.
Sure, man.
So if we don't take home not 3 of the cups.
Minimum.
So we have the football competition, the CEO's penalty shootouts, the women's penalty shootouts. I think I'll be there to try out penalties. The mixed relay, the swimming, tennis. Are you swimming, tennis, or just football?
No, we are
Everything.
We are competing
wow,
in everything.
okay, tennis, the 100 meters, women's 50 meters, there's mixed volleyball, table tennis, masters race, 5-kilometer race walk, tag of peace. Instead of tag of war, we want peace. We don't want violence, tag of peace. And then there's the sack race, my favorite, lime and spoon relay. So you guys are geared up and ready to walk home with many, many tournaments. But as sponsors on the program, tell me why it's important for your brand to be associated with Joy Sports Invitational. Why are you sponsoring the tournament?
So, I mean, basically, we think it's one of the avenues for us to create that visibility that a lot of people need to see and hear as well. So as a new brand, it's also an opportunity for us to sort of dominate and use what you are having as an opportunity to also reach out to many Ghanaians out there. So, yeah.
I will give you each a minute. I like to do that for you to talk to our audience directly and tell them why they should watch out for you. Okay. The many, many, many products that I know you are coming up with, you know, as the days unfold, and what's special about you, especially in the tournament. I'll start with you, Courage.
Okay, which camera is mine?
That one right there.
Right. Nyakata miva.
Oh, I like that. Take us away.
Everybody should come. Nyefe nyeba. Munyina mumbra. Kudu kakuzo. And Piva will be ready for you. Thank you.
I like that. I'm very... okay.
Unfortunately, I can't speak. I'm for the brand for region. No problem.
So feel free to also invite the Bono guys to come.
Unfortunately, I can't speak the language. So I just urge everyone. I've just been told that still, I mean, it has not ended. People who want to participate can join. So corporate world, we have a week to register. Piva will be there for sampling. So virtually everybody who comes will get free drinks to take home. Don't sit on the fence. Come over and see my penalties, and I'm assuring you that I will take it, inshallah.
Inshallah. But before we go, I want you to tell me, you know, give us details of what's different in each of these drinks. I see Piva grapes. This is a grapefruit drink.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so tell us a little, Courage, I think you should do that. Tell us a bit about each drink before we go. So you can start with, yeah.
So I can start with the grape. The flavorful taste of the grape is featured in this product you see here. And so a sip of it takes your mind back to you enjoying the fruit and the grapefruit itself.
Okay.
That is one. When it comes to the cola, I like to say that the Piva Cola has come to replace the ordinary Coke that you and I take. So that is unique. With the orange, it's almost like you're having a taste of the orange in your mouth. Now, with the Piva Tangy, there's something unique that I want to say about the Piva Tangy. So We were part of the sponsors for This is Ghana exhibition hosted by City. And we had the second lady of the land come in, and she passed by our stand. She had a taste. Fortunately for us, my boss served her with the Piva Tangi. And she couldn't just believe like what happened, you know. It took her mind back to the taste and then the flavor of the tangy, you know, and she enjoyed it. So when it comes to the cocktail, we have just a combination of a number of fruits put together, you know, to give you that taste in your mouth. Now, the Game Energy is our newest, and we are going to be launching very soon.
Oh, it's still launched yet?
Yeah, okay. We are going to be launching very soon, and I think it's also an opportunity for us to invite you guys to join us that day.
Yeah.
We're going to be sharing the various dates as well. The Piva Natural Mineral Water is also already in the market, but we're also going to have a proper launch of that. So
which of these products is your favorite? I'll taste your favorite right now. Give me your favorite, let me see.
I
want to put it to the test.
That's a tangerine.
Yeah, this is a tangerine. So I'm going to try the Piva Tangis. That's tangerine, right?
Yes, yes.
Oh, I like that. And I'll give my review right now before we go.
Okay, we are ready for it.
No lie there. Yeah. It does taste like tangerine. I'm keeping this one. Thank you very much.
Thank you
so much for coming. Any final words before we go? In about 30 seconds, I'll allow it.
Okay.
Frankie J.
Piva is on the market now. Please patronize. This is purely made in Ghana product, 100% owned by Ghanaians. It's only Ghana that can develop Ghana. Patronize it. It's not only the patron, but you are buying the best product on the market. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that there is Frankie J. Mensah. That's the CEO of Piva Beverages. We also have Courage Kodo, branch manager for Piva Beverages. We are looking forward to all the goals you want to score.
Sure.
And when you're launching the energy drink, invite us and we'll be there to support you. All right, folks, this is a Joy Invitational Tournament. You want to get ready for it. It is happening live on the 26th of October at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium. So be on the lookout for that. And that's how we're wrapping up for this Belt of Conversation. But there's still a lot more coming your way on the AM show. We'll be right back.
Welcome back on the AM show. Just how much do you love literature? Well, for me, I'm in bed with literature, you could say literally. But today I have some stalwarts of the literary arena joining me for a conversation. They're going to be telling you about the Peja Literary Festival, a festival of 3 days running every year. This will be the 8th time, and I have just the people joining me for the conversation. And one of my friends is in the studio. He didn't come with his boxing gloves, but he's here supporting the EU ambassador to Ghana, Irchad Razali. Your Excellency, thank you for joining.
Thanks for the invitation.
Then the main people driving this, Dr. Martin Egblewogbe. He is a director of the festival, and we also have Elizabeth Johnson, who is festival manager. Thank you for joining the conversation as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Martin, I'm going to start with you. Give us just a bit of a background to this 3-day literary festival, readings, presentations, and all of that. Just walk us through what has happened in the past.
Okay, so as you rightly mentioned, this is the 8th edition, and it's always been a 3-day festival, and the whole idea was to bring as many writers, academics, people who are interested in literature, artists. We wanted to bring as many of them together at one location, just so that we could enjoy what they do. We enjoy the books they write. We get to talk to them. And this year is not going to be any different. This year we also have a lot of writers, both Ghanaian from the West African sub-region and from elsewhere. Interestingly, we have a writer from Brazil joining us, and even from Poland.
Which one?
This is Professor Gustavo Brito.
Okay.
Yeah, he's done some work translating one of a very prominent book in Ghana. That's Ama, a history of the transatlantic slave trade.
I see.
Yes. And so we are having a lot of people coming from Ghana, Nigeria, and also from far afield. And we are going to have the usual 3 days of exciting talks and readings. All sorts of books are going to be there. Yeah, so that's the idea for this year.
Amma, the history of the transatlantic slave trade, is that not a work by Manu Hepstein?
Exactly.
That's a work, okay.
Yeah.
So
and that makes it very special because we have the author here in Ghana, and then his translator of a very prominent work is going to be here, and he's going to deliver a talk about the book as well. So yeah,
we look forward to when you bring Paulo Coelho as well into the country, the alchemist among others. Before I come to you, Elizabeth, let me come to Irchad. Why are you on board the EU as far as PEJA is concerned?
As you know, Europe is the continent of culture by excellence, and we believe that culture, whatever the form, especially literature, is one of the best ways to bring people together, to advance their imagination, and to create bonds. And this is the reason why we are supporting this literature festival, but by and large, in all our culture venture here in Ghana, we are supporting, the meetings between Ghanaian writers or authors or other activities with their counterparts elsewhere in Africa and in Europe and to Brazil, etc. So this is a deep, deep belief in the power of culture for the social fabric, for education, for advancing the people.
Well, I'm sure they're hoping, and we're all hoping, that maybe someday some of the stalwarts in Europe, the writers, you will help facilitate bringing some of them down so that we can have them as part of this festival. But
just also to add already, we're, as part of the support from the EU, and we've always been able to invite some writers from Europe.
From Europe to
join. So this year too, there are going to be 2 writers.
Okay. Who are coming?
Well, so there is this Polish writer. His name is Mark Sigielski. He is also an artist. And the very interesting thing is that there was a cloth, a kente cloth, a print cloth with a certain design at the time of Nkrumah's reign, and I think it was called Makofo Emu Oman.
Okay.
Yes.
Makofo Emu Oman.
Exactly.
So one person doesn't govern.
Exactly. And so he is going to talk about an exhibition on that cloth.
See.
Yes, and he's also a novelist. So we really appreciate the fact that the EU was able to facilitate his coming to Ghana. And we also have Vamba Sherif joining from Netherlands. He also has written a very important book from Liberia, talking about one of the prominent kings and rulers of Liberia. So yeah, it's already happening. We look forward to more, of course.
All right. But let me come to the festival manager. Every year it's spectacular. What can we expect this year from the PEJA Literary Festival? Mube PEJA.
As usual, I mean, we have so many events and so much to offer this year, and the past 7 years have been great, and this year would not be an exception. I can just go through the opening night to show how exciting this will be. So the festival opens on Friday the 18th, and we have workshops that will be running, and these workshops are open to emerging writers or poets or people in the creative scene who are looking for the opportunity to interact and network with more prominent and established voices in the various aspects. So we have these free workshops running from 12 to 4:30 p.m. on Friday. They are free. You have to register for that. And then in the evening, we have a grand opening ceremony. We have a talk with David Dontor and Desmond Abebio. So David Dontor is a veteran actor, and Desmond Abebio is also a veteran high life musician. And so they will be having a conversation on creative arts and practice in Ghana. So that promises to be exciting. Every year we try to put together 2 prominent Ghanaian literary activists or creatives to have a conversation on whatever fields that they are in. And so this year we are having David Dontor and Desmond Abebio. And then right after that, we have a dramatized reading of a book of fiction. This year, the group Found Space selected Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad. But what they have done is to adapt it to Accra. So what they are doing is Nearly All the Men in Accra Are Mad. So we'll be having dramatized performance of this book. Last year, they did Professor Amata Edu's Changes, and so this year they are traveling to Nigeria to bring us something exciting.
Ayobami's book, Adeyemi.
No, I forget the name, but no, it's not Adeyemi. Yeah.
No, I mean the Nigerian one.
The Nigerian one is no, it's not
Nearly all
Adeyemi. It's I forget the name of the writer, unfortunately, but it's not Adeyemi. Yeah. And then, as that is going on, we have Professor Toyin Falola from the University of Texas, Houston. He will be giving a talk, a very special talk on festivals, the past of the present. And this talk is very significant because Professor Toyin Falola is a big name when it comes to literature and literary arts and writing in Africa and in America. So this talk is very important to also see. So this gives an idea of the kinds of events we'll be having at the festival. Typically within an hour, we have about 3 to 4 events happening on Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And then on Sunday, the same thing. And we also have an amazing kinky party, which we do every Sunday. And so there'll be free kinky for a limited amount of time. That is sponsored by Dakpabli Publishers, one of Ghana's forward publishing houses in the past few years. And so from book readings to poetry performances, book launches, film screenings, we have a children's corner so people can bring in their awards, and there's a safe space with specially curated events for children, from puzzles to book readings to film showings for them. And so your awards will be very safe when you come to the festival.
Right. Interesting times. And you're right, that is Damilare Kuku.
Yeah.
With that one.
Exactly.
There's another book whose title I am forgetting, something about a smile. That's the Adeyemi book. But there's something special that the EU is collaborating with PEJA to do, a pre-event. Can you tell us a bit about that, Irchat?
Yes, just before the event, we are launching, I would say, a more select rendezvous at my residence to have a panel.
Am I invited?
We will have to reflect. The jury is still out. Jury is still out. So, I see you are really into literature. You might make it.
I might make it.
So
tell us what's going to happen.
We will organize a panel discussion, and you know so it will be a nice event which will be pre-launching the formal festival. We did that last year. We did that the year before. And one of the beauty of the event and the festival is that we are bringing together not only the authors, but the thinkers around what literature is and what it brings, and the publishers and publishing houses, because this is an ecosystem. And beyond the beauty of art, literature is a creative art as well, where there are jobs which are at line, where there is ability as well to create new avenues for growth creation, job creation, and economic links between continents. So I think this is one of the reasons why as well we are supporting this PEJA Festival. I would like to say kudos as well to the Writers Project, because they have been instrumental in this. And you know, this is an ecosystem. It's a feast. It's a way to reflect on what we are, where we are as human beings, because this is what literature is, you know.
And you've been supporting,
yes,
the arts, the creative arts.
To create a big space of encounters, and we love that.
The creative and literary arts, so we're grateful that you keep up the support. Martin, as we get ready to conclude, what are the key days to look at? I just want you to rehash who is coming. Just give us a briefing of what to expect.
Okay, so the key days to look at are the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday. And on the Friday, we have the opening. It starts at 5:30, but the programming is starting at 6:10. So it's really a short opening ceremony, but then we jump directly into programming. And it's actually open to the public. On Saturday, we start off at 10 with a special publishing confab. We have publishers from the sub-region meeting to discuss the whole industry. As the ambassador has mentioned, it is actually an industry, and the synergies are actually important for us. So we will run on Saturday until 9 o'clock p.m. And then on Sunday, we are back from 11, and we run till 9:30. Now, there is a prize called the Abna Korantima Oral History Prize. I think we've spoken about it on this program before, yes. And so the award-giving ceremony is on Sunday at midday. So those are some of the items to look out for. But because the programs are many, we have more than 60 programs throughout the entire festival. It's ideal to take a look online and see the schedule. But if you turn up at the Growth Institute on Saturday and Sunday in the day, definitely you have a great choice of programs to look out for. May I mention that, for example, we have Nia Ikwe Parks, who is a prominent Ghanaian writer. He is going to be in...
Tale of the Bluebird.
Yes, he has a new book called Azuka, and so he's going to be giving us a reading from there, And so I mentioned Vamba Sherif. His book is The Emperor's Son. That's also going to be featured. We also have some local Ghanaian writers. I mentioned, for example, Mo Issa has a new book out. He's going to be presenting it. And then we have a few other writers of notes. We have Kofi Mara. He's presenting his book for the first time. And we also have fantasy fiction.
It's going to be
a lot.
A whole lot. It's going to be a true feast.
Indeed.
For lovers of literature. And even if you don't, pass through, we just might make you a convert. Unfortunately, our time is up. We really have to run. I'm going to give you 10 seconds each. Final words, Elizabeth.
I think it's just come to the Goethe Institute from 18th to the 20th to experience for yourself the beauty of literature. It's a celebration, and so come, network, get involved and enjoy. We've put together a very amazing program for your enjoyment, for free, I should add.
Thank you. Irja?
Ghana is a wonderful place for culture, and I think it's a wonderful place as well for encounters beyond Ghana with Africa and Europe. Literature is a wonderful tool to do that.
Thank you very much, ladies, gentlemen, for joining. We shall all be passing through. And we had Irchad Razali, the EU ambassador to Ghana. We also had Elizabeth Johnson, festival manager, Peja Literary Festival, and of course, Dr. Martin Egblewogbe, who is the festival director, all joining us for this conversation. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back with more shortly. Welcome back on the AM show. Have you ever heard of the bold new normal? If you haven't, it isn't too late, because guess who joins me in the studio to tell us all about this event? Lucy Quest. Yes, we know her in all the other, strata that she's operated in, but today she's joining us to talk about the bold new normal, and she's author and convener of this event. Good morning, Lucy.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. Especially when the evergreen Lucy is in the studio, makes for a very good conversation.
You're very kind, thank you.
Let's start with the bold new normal. You've been doing this for a while now?
Yes.
What is the bold new normal?
The bold new normal first started out as a book. So the book was actually published 5 years ago. And it was born out of my desire to really question and challenge and effectively guide us towards how we create our prosperity as Ghanaians, as Africans. Subsequently, in 2022, the book evolved into a conference. So now I host an annual conference. It's a conference where change makers and thought leaders come together to really not just talk and discuss, but plan how we are going to create more prosperous outcomes for ourselves in this country and on this continent. So this year is the third Bold New Normal conference.
And it makes for a lot of interesting perspective, because you have the African Continental Free Trade Area, you have all of these developments. Ghana has the HQ, the Secretariat here.
Exactly.
Some would say, are we tapping into it enough? How does this conference envision bringing those indices into the picture?
That's an awesome question. So one of the things we've consistently done is one of our speakers every single year, right from the book launch to the next conference, has been David Ofosu-Dorte, who is a stalwart of everything to do with the free trade agreement, also Afro champions. And I use him as an example to epitomize the fact that there's the Africa or Ghana that people talk about, where we talk about everything that's gone wrong. And then there's the Ghana and the Africa of change makers, of people like you, people like David, people like myself, who are consistently focused on how do we actually make change, not by talking about it, but the actions and activities we need to do to move forward. So you ask a specific question about free trade. Free trade as a policy and as an agreement and as a document to ratify across countries has made a lot of progress, but it hasn't made sufficient progress in practice. Right? I still need to do all the checks when I get to the Togolese border. I still need to present my passport to various countries.
Recently.
There you
Still
go.
Hectic.
So the point of the conference is to take what we know and envisage to be the future we want, and we really articulate that in detail specifics into what do I as an individual have to do differently to make that future possible.
And it's all about possibilities, isn't it?
It is about possibilities, but it's also about the realization of translation possibility into what you see around you. I always tell people that everything we see, even this building, it was in someone's mind.
Yeah.
Someone's mind dreamt up this building and we constructed it. Someone's mind dreamt the road we ride on and then we built it.
Right.
So we need to move our minds not just from the I wish X was different and I envisage to, okay, I can envisage what I want differently, but now I'm going to actually take the action, whether it's for myself, for my family, for my community or my country, I will actually do the work to make it possible.
So from conceptualization to actualization.
Actualization is the key word.
Let's talk about the theme for this year's event, transforming mindsets, and of course we all need that, creating leaders of prosperity. How does the nexus between this and what we're talking about on the continent of Africa?
So there isn't a single conversation I have about our progress and our development that someone doesn't say, oh, but Lucy, is all about the leadership, right? And we could spend all morning, all day talking about leadership. But where I challenge people to is that everybody has leadership within them. And the reason why I say that is that we all influence somebody. You may even influence just one person. You may feel it's just your little sister that you have influence, but you're still influencing her. So my point is that how do we start to become leaders within our sphere of influence? Whether I'm a school teacher, a head girl, a doctor, in your own little corner. Because if we can now start to behave as leaders in the small corners we have, we start to exhibit the behaviors that we expect of leaders when they get the bigger platforms. Because remember, the formation of a leader is not when they get the job. If you haven't been formed with the right characteristics of a leader, when you get the big job, you're just going to amplify what you know already. So this is where we're talking creating leaders of prosperity. Now, I use the word character. Our characters are based on our mindsets and how we think. So our goal at the conference is to help shape that mindset and that thinking that then makes us leaders that create prosperity even within our corner.
In our own little ecosystem.
Absolutely.
How are we becoming leaders? You've spoken about prosperity quite a number of times now, and I know that is one of the catchphrases or catchwords, if you want, if you may. But for a first-time attendee at this event, what can such a person expect? Where is this event going to be held? Who can join? Okay, so first of all, who can join is everybody, as long as where I encourage people is that, look, we have a number of change makers who feel isolated. They feel, oh, but Lucy, you say I should do it in my little corner. I'm the only one in my little corner that cares. Actually, at this conference, a lot of the little corner people show up. Everybody doing different things shows up. The second thing is that you actually may be curious. You may be thinking to yourself, I'd love to be a change maker, but I don't know where to start. I hear all these people talk and they show up on TV like I am this morning and talk about it, but I don't know where to start. You need to be there. It's on the 26th of October at Pearly Gate Gardens in East Legon. We start at 8 a.m. and every day it's 8 a.m. sharp. Come have your breakfast and let's get moving. But now to the heart of your question, prosperity. I need to be very clear. Prosperity is about having opportunity to self-actualize. Prosperity isn't about, I gave you 1 million cities. Prosperity is that God-given talent and ability and passion you have within you. Do you have the opportunity to actually actualize it, to do things, to make things happen, to drive your own realization of what is possible in your life? We talk about what we need as a country and as a continent. Some of the things we need are really basic. Good healthcare, good education, access to a decent job, so on and so forth. But we are the ones to create it. We are the ones to take the action to create it. And that's why the conference is essential. Now, to put a little bit more meat on the bone. Just briefly on that.
Very, very briefly. we start by demonstrating what self-actualization actually looks like. So our early morning speakers will be our young people who are actually doing that. Then we go into more seasoned speakers who have maybe been at it for 30 years, 40 years. So we give you a vision of where you could end up.
Right.
And then we close with a masterclass that I host where you create your own plan of what you're going to do based on everything that you've heard in the conference.
Well, interesting times, and we wish you the very best on this chapter as we all support you to actualize the dream of that bold new normal for Ghana, for Africa, and maybe for the entirety of the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. And that is business and tech executive, but also, yes, author and convener of the Bold New Normal Conference. Lucy Quest joined us in the studio. You'll want to partake in that event. Well, coming up next, we're talking about the National Science and Math Quiz, and we're heading straight into the Central Region. Adobia Asare, together with Jacqueline and Sumayabua, are on hand. What's taking place today, Jacqueline?
This is Agri Memorial Senior High School, and we are currently at the SGS auditorium for the first contest today. The contest has already started, and I'm here with the students, but let's find out from them how they're feeling right now. Now, your contest this morning is with Ashaman Senior High School, and first timers, Ghana Lebanon Islamic Senior High School. How are you feeling about this?
I'm feeling so excited right now because we are leading, and I couldn't believe we could lead and other stuff, so I'm feeling excited right now.
Okay, all right. Now let me also speak to you. Tell us, what should we expect from your school this year?
We are mind-blowing. Yeah. We are going to win it by hook or by crook. Yeah.
Now, I'm not doing this alone. Adobia Asare is joining me. Adobia, kindly join me here. Well, Adobia, you have other schools behind you too. Other students, or you have other students behind you. Kindly speak to them.
Yes, you are talking about excitement and the fact that do you even agree with your colleague?
Really much. We've been preparing notes now, and we are expecting to get to the quarterfinals this year.
Wait, are you talking about quarterfinals, or you're actually winning this?
Yes, we are actually aiming at winning it, but I believe this year that we have to, crack it. Yes.
Wait, so let me get this. Are you doing quarterfinals or you are winning? We are winning. You are winning. Okay. So you have about 3 contestants. Who do you really, really believe in?
Believe in Ivy because we know that women can do better, and we also believe in, those gender equality. So we know we will win. Like our motto goes, Semper Optimo Nitere. We always aim high. Yeah.
Okay. What else does anyone have to add? Is there anything you want to say?
Oh, all the schools out there, they should look onto us because we are coming with great heat.
Well, that is Agri Memorial Senior High School, and they're contesting with Ghana Lebanon Islamic Senior High School. That is the first timer, and Ashaman Senior High School. Right. And the contest has already started. They're almost done and wrapping up with the first round of this contest. But the other contest this morning, Adobia Asare, can you take us through your contest?
Right. So at Center for National Culture, we have Kintam Paul Senior High School, St. Mary's Boys Senior High School, Krobo Girls Senior High School, and that contest is also underway. They are wrapping up the round 1, I'm told, and then we have Okwapeman in the second contest. We have Edukron Presby Senior High, and we have St. Thomas Aquinas. They are a one-time champion, aren't they?
Yes, they are. That's a contest you need to look out for today.
Right. So, and then we have Ghana Senior High School, Koforidua. Then we have Northern School of Business, Seshuyoso Senior High School, and then the last contest for the day at CNC will be between Oyoko Methodist Senior High, Kwewu Tafo Senior High, and then Doma Senior High School. Jackie, how about you, please?
Well, currently as SGS, as I've already said, we already have the current contest ongoing between Agri Memorial, Ghana, Lebanon Islamic Senior High School, and of course we have Ashaman Senior High School. But Auditorium 900, the first contest this morning is Awodomi Senior High School, Kunfi Ameyao SHTS, Sewa Kese Girls Senior High School. There are other contests subsequently that will be going on today. We have 4 contests at each venue, just like what happened yesterday. And just a quick wrap of what happened yesterday. St. Peter's Senior High School came back with a big bang, and yesterday they were the top scorers for the day. Yeah, with a whooping 65. But then initially, at the same venue, we had Benkum Senior High School, and Benkum Senior High School had 61. That was for the third contest. So at a point, we thought they were going to be the top runners for the day, but then later on, St. Peter's came in with the fire, and it was amazing inside the auditorium. So they became the top runners for yesterday's contest. But then, I think today's contest, which school are you tipping?
If there's one thing I've stopped doing, that's to tip schools, because yesterday I was shown Premium Pepe. The Yas Santua girls really disgraced me. Yes. But, oh, well, they did so well. I mean, it's not easy being asked these difficult questions.
I think they had 36 points from yesterday. I cannot even answer any of those questions,
but they've done very well, and they've promised that they're going to come back harder next time. So, something interesting happened at my place yesterday.
Yes, tell us.
The newbies, Our Lady of Grace Senior High School, they won with 59 points. You know, it's not usual. People will not really expect that a new school will break through not only regionals, but actually do the prelims and do so well. I mean, if St. Peter's didn't get 65 points, they probably would have won the overall top score. And they really did well because their contenders had 38 and 17 points. And then I think it was remarkable.
Yes, I think yesterday the first timers actually did well. And even throughout the competition, today is the third day of the preliminary stage. And we've seen the first timers do incredibly well. They come in and they meet other schools who have been in it for a very long time. And they are doing incredibly well right here. But then talking about Agri Memorial, you know, their stellar performance was a very long time ago. The last time they gave a stellar performance was a long time, like 1999. And that time, you know, the National Science and Maths quiz wasn't like how it is right now. It was very different. But the last time they were seeded was 2017. But then talking about Shaman Senior High School, you covered their regional qualifiers and you know their performance. But then they have been close to the 1A stage for the past 5 years, like for 5 times, not consecutively, but then like 5 times they've been closer. They get to the 1A stage and they are unable to get seeded. So I think this morning's contest is actually a tight one. Personally, I wouldn't want to tip any schools because being in the auditorium and looking at how round 1 is going, all the students are doing incredibly well. And even in Ghana, Lebanon Islamic Senior High School, for now, I don't know if we should be tipping the first timers, but I mean, they are doing well. But then your contest too this morning.
Yes, so this morning we have Kintampo, St. Mary's Boys and Krobo Girls Senior High at Center for National Culture, and then Okwapeman School. So you see, their contest is quite dicey. You may tip a certain school thinking they are going to do so well. They actually will do their best, but will not end up winning. I wanted to tip Ashamano because I saw their performance during the regionals, and they are charismatic, they are confident, and they actually are intelligent. So I really hope they'll win this contest. But then, I mean, anything is possible because the AM is that the Agri Memorial people too have come with so much energy, and the Glaze girls are doing very well too. I mean, the round 1 was not easy, but I don't even know who has won yet, but I think Agri is leading.
Yes, well, no, the round 1 just ended, so the scores are not out yet.
That's fine.
Definitely. So these are the contests that you need to be looking out for today. Adobia, do you have the sponsors for today so that we acknowledge our sponsors who have been supporting this
the National Science and Maths Quiz, the 2024 National Science and Maths Quiz is proudly produced by Primetime Limited and sponsored by the Ghana Education Service in partnership with GOL PLC and supported by Pepsodent, Dupay, and Prudential Life Insurance Ghana. And the broadcast of the 2024 National Science and Maths Quiz on Joy News is supported by Vitamilk, NASCO, Virtual Security Africa, Ace Medical Insurance, Builds Financial Technologies, DBS Roofing. We have Syntex Tanks, Family Health Medical School, Shopbox Technologies, Action Secondary Technical, Multimedia Institute of Ghana, DPS Pipes, and Waka Now.
Yes, these are the sponsors. So we'll be bringing you all up-to-speed details on what will be transpiring at all three venues on the third day of the preliminary stage. I am Jacqueline Ansemayewa and
Adobe Asari.
Over to you back in the studio.
Okay, so from NSMQ, we come Waka Now.
So make we Waka Now.
Make we Waka Now, because right now, dear, your school is in there, my school is in there. Seeded school versus, preliminary.
Benjamin, you really don't have to do that.
I don't.
You don't have to do that. Because we may surprise you. For the first time, Malco Girls Senior High School may win. You should really calm down. But we have to go. That's how we're wrapping up the AM show this morning, the Ben and Sweetie show. Many thanks for your time. Look out for us again tomorrow, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. But what's coming up next, Benjamin?
Joy News Desk with you-know-whom, Faustina Safo. You want to stay for that?
Bye.